Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Edinburgh Film Festival 2026 live stream. We're going to go through all the movies that Sarah and I watched at the film festival. If anyone has any questions about the festival, pop them in the chat and we'll try and get to them as well. But let me bring Sarah in here. Sarah, hello. How are we doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. A little bit tired after Edinburgh Film Festival, but I had a great time.
Yeah, you were telling me you had a 7-hour train journey home.
Yeah, just a long little 7-hour train back to Wales, but yeah, no, I'm glad I did it.
Excellent, good stuff. Right, let's get straight into it. The first movie that we're going to talk about was the opening gala film for the film festival this year. It was The Incomer. So I'm going to read the blurb from the EIFF website, and then Sarah and I will chat through our thoughts on the movie. So, The Incomer, part of the out of competition strand, raised on a remote Scottish island, oddball siblings Isla Rankin and Sandy O'Rourke, so that's Gail Rankin and Gavin O'Rourke? Grant O'Rourke, sorry, spend their days hunting, squabbling, and telling stories. But when nervy council official Donald Gleeson, arrives on the island intent on moving them along, the pair must wrestle with the threat and exciting possibilities of them. Crammed with intriguingly strange characters and performed with aplomb by a wonderful cast, this terrific debut from director Louis Paxton uses surreal humour, warmth, and pathos. Winner of the Next Innovator Award at Sundance, this is a delightful and moving comedy about loneliness, connection, and the unknown. And that wee blurb was written by Paul Ridd. Sarah, thoughts on The Incomer? Did you see it? Did you see it at the press screening, or were you there at one of the public screenings?
Yeah, I missed the press screening and the opening night actual screening as well. So I actually watched it on Saturday evening. I think it was the last chance to watch it. But saying that, it was like a 9:30 p.m. screening at Cineworld, and it was sold out. Like it was absolutely rammed, which was great to see. Um, yeah, I went in, I saw a bit of the trailer, and I thought, nope, I'm gonna stop that trailer because it looks like my kind of thing. I don't want to have it spoiled. Yeah, and I think generally I had a really good time with this film. Yeah, I kind of instantly likened it to Ballad of Wallace Island, which I know we both love.
Yeah.
Like we both really like that film, and I think that does the same here in terms of the humor, but also the kind of emotional side to it as well. But yeah, no, generally really really enjoyed this film. Laugh out loud moments, really heartfelt moments. Yeah, and it's great to see Donald do more like comedy roles. I thought he did a
Yeah,
really good job doing that. I know he's got a comedy background back when he was younger, so it's really cool to see him that as well.
absolutely, absolutely. I think this was as soon as I saw this was going to be the opening film and watched the trailer and read the blurb, I thought, yeah, this is definitely on brand for
Yeah.
the opening film of the Edinburgh Film Festival. Charming, quirky, rural tale, undercurrent tones about like the warnings of foregoing, the simple nature life for the hustle and bustle of the big city. It's one of two films that John Hannah had at the festival, and in this one he plays for lack of a better phrase, a
Oh.
merman, finman, creepy. Very. I mean, it's like for a quirky,
Horrifying.
warm and fuzzy for the most part movie. Is I mean, shout out to the makeup guys because you kind of unless you knew it was him, you might not know it's him, and it very much was like, ooh, that's very creepy. But yeah, one of two films that John had. But like you said, they're literally in my notes. I'd said it's this year's The Ballad of Wallace Island. Um,
Yeah.
which is high, high, high praise because we both saw that, I think, at last year's
Mm.
Glasgow Film Festival. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
last
did.
year's Glasgow Film Festival. And that ended up being my favourite film of 2025. Now, The Incomer
Well,
is good, but it's not my favourite film of 2026.
I agree.
But it is good. But
Very
it is
similar.
good. For me, I think it's Grant O'Rourke that stole the show. I think his
Yeah.
character is just insanely charming and stupid in a lovable way. You've got Michelle Gomez in there. I'm going to say hamming it up, but I don't mean that as a negative. I think she's just like she's basically playing like a Bond villain, but she's the boss of like the council relocation department or something. But she's playing it like she's a Bond villain, which I thought was hilarious. And it was really interesting to see Donald Gleeson, like you said, in a comedy, but he's playing the straight man to
Mm.
Gail Rankin and Grant O'Rourke's quirkiness. And I would love to see like if they do a physical media release, or even if they put it on YouTube, I'd love to see the outtakes for this,
Oh
because
yeah.
I imagine there's plenty of outtakes of Donald Gleason just like breaking up and laughing a lot. You know, um, there's a couple that I took a note of a few lines from the movie that really stood out, kind of so out of context lines. These aren't spoilers, but they're out of context hilarious lines. Bottom mess, which was mentioned a few times, which is my new favourite phrase, and I am now using that in everyday life. My mouth is alive, and there's a recurring Lord of the Rings joke, which was brilliant. I thought, yeah, so very on brand for the opening of the festival. I thought, yeah. So what was so you saw it in the public screening then, and it was sold out. What was the reaction from the crowd?
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people were laughing at the right moments. There were those more sort of, you could feel the sort of more tender moments being a bit more quiet moments amongst the audience. But all in all, it was like just a fun time. I think people, I like to think that people are sort of all on board with it, especially being very much a Scottish film as well. To
Yeah,
be the opening film. I don't know if anyone else was terrified of John Hannah, but I was literally turning away. I was anticipating him coming on screen every time I looked at my friend Jess. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. That was an experience. Again, that's what I love about cinema, is just sharing those experiences.
yeah.
Films like this. So that was really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, on brand for the opening film. I think everyone would be quite happy with that. Let's jump quickly into the comments and have a look,
Mhm.
see who's saying hello. We've got Corey from over in the States, Wilkie's Movies and Music. How we doing, Corey? Thanks for joining us. We've got Mike from Did You See That? Big fan of Mike's. I
Nice.
think we've both followed Mike and vice versa for quite some time.
Mhm.
How we doing, buddy? We've got Alfred. Oh, I need to get glasses. I can't. This text is too small. Alfredoistic. Northbound with Julia Fox and Bruce Dern was amazing. We will get to that. I think that's movie number 13 of 16 that we're going to talk about. So stick with us for a wee while. We will definitely get to that. And Anthony Perez just saying, "What's up, you all?" Hello. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Right, let's crack on with the next movie, because we do have a good few to get
Mm.
through. So I think you didn't see Bad Day at the Office, did you?
No, I didn't.
All
Send it
right.
to you.
So I'll take this one. I'll take this one. So Bad Day at the Office. It's a POV action movie. It's the second John Hannah movie from from the festival, and he is much an action hero on it. Let me read the blurb from the site here. So Bad Day at the Office, directed by. Now I met the director and interviewed him and the cast.
Mm.
So apologies if I'm still getting the pronunciation wrong. Directed by Chi Kyung Chung. Part of the Midnight Madness strand, waking up strange hotel room with a dead body in a bathtub. We've all been there. Police knocking at the door and no memory of the night before. Carl, John Hannah, is about to have a very bad day indeed. Enlisting the help of a sparky hotel maid, played by Radha Mitchell, he is forced to fight for his life whilst trying to piece together answers as they battle foe after foe across London. Shot in the style of first person shooter video games with a cine literate wit, humour, ferocious pacing, cracking soundtrack, this is an anarchic, ultra violent, and hilarious thrill ride of pure cinematic carnage. The ultimate Midnight Madness experience. And that wee blurb was written by Emma Boa. I don't think I could have put it any better than that. My review is basically a lesser worded version of what Emma just wrote there. But I will quickly go through my notes for the movie. The first thing I wrote down was, this is absolutely bloody bonkers. It's brilliantly bonkers, I think is the phrase I used. As I said, it's the second John Hannah film at the film festival. So John Hannah had two movies at the Edinburgh Film Festival during a once-in-a-lifetime solar eclipse, which I think is, you know, you can take that off your bucket list. They don't shy away from the POV first-person shooter video gameness of this. Like they take that dial and turn it up to 11. It will make your eyes hurt. It will make you nauseous. It won't be for everyone. At the press screening that I went to, there was like at least 4 or 5 people that actually walked out after about 10 minutes, because it's full. I mean, when I say the POV ness of it is turned up to 11, Jesus, it's really dialed up to 11. So it won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I think it will appeal to a niche audience. But I think that niche audience will love it. I didn't love it, but I did really like it. It very much is in my wheelhouse. Like if you're a fan of first person shooter games and dumb action movies, this is exactly up your cup of tea, up your street slash your cup of tea. I think in my notes I wrote it's Crank meets Peep Show meets Total Recall. Yeah, the only negative I've got about it is, other than it being nauseating and giving you your eye strain, but in a kind of good way, for this type of movie, it felt like it was a little bit too long. I can't remember the runtime. In fact, I'll probably say here. It was 106 minutes long, so it's 15 minutes shy of 2 hours. I think a movie like this needs to be 90 or less. What you would cut out of it, I don't know. I think I briefly met one of the editors at the festival as well. Did a great job, but yeah, it's a wee bit too long for the type of experience that this movie is. And then the only other thing I'll mention about this movie is they were doing a 4DX screening of it, I think on the last day of the festival on Tuesday or Wednesday there. So I've been to 4DX a few times. I kind of enjoy it. It is a bit of a gimmick. You know, I wouldn't pay the extra for every single movie. But it is enjoyable at times. However, this movie is like, gives you, what's the word there? Not travel sickness, makes you not, makes you nauseous as it is. This movie plus 4DX, I wouldn't want to clean up that cinema afterwards, let's put it that way. So not everyone's cup of tea, but if you like POV action and first person shooters, I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, that was Bad Day at the Office. So you didn't see it, but did you hear any chat from anyone else about it?
I mean, I only heard bad things, I'll be honest. I just saw the letterbox reviews, everyone who'd been to the screening and people who were just attending, they were like, what the heck was that?
Oh really?
I think, yeah.
I've not actually read it. I've not looked at Letterboxd for it, so it's not getting a good score.
Yeah. If you go on recent reviews, you can and see the dates, you can see who was at Edinburgh, and it's not well received, Jim, I'll tell you that.
Oh.
I think, yeah, a lot of people were comparing it to Crank. I think that was the thing, like we've seen this before, done better. So I think that was a lot of people's problems.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah. I mean, Crank isn't a first person point of view, but it's very much that style. But yeah, Crank is.
Yeah.
You know, I think the one that I compared it to was a movie called Hardcore or Hardcore Henry, depending on what I think it was called, either Hardcore or Hardcore Henry, depending on where it was released. And that was a first person action movie as well. I think it was a crowd-funded movie or a short that was like, guy made a short, but like then funded it from that. So that's the movie that I compared it to, because that was, I remember seeing the behind the scenes for that. They had like a bike helmet rig with like a Canon 5D mounted to the front. Whereas this one, from what I've read, is actual GoPros. So more manageable and, not going to break the camera operator's neck. But it definitely gives you that POV look because it is literally GoPros. And I think, even though it's getting bad reviews, like I said, I enjoyed it. But I think you need to give a shout out to the actors for kind of being the word open and free to that style of filming, because given that we both have a similar kind of day job, we know what lenses are. We know what a really wide lens looks like. We know what a close-up, a really wide lens, like a GoPro lens, in your face. It's not the most flattering composition. And so shout out to the actors for letting themselves be laid bare, for lack of a better phrase, and just embracing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting that no one else is giving it a good review. But there you go. Yeah. So that's Bad Day at the Office. I think that's getting a cinema release in the UK. I don't know if it's nationwide, but I'm sure it's coming out in a couple of weeks. But there you go. Bad Day at the Office. Right. Let's crack on. What's next? We have Out There. Now, I think we both saw this, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Fabulous. I'll do the wee blurb and then we'll let you do your bit so I can have a drink. So, Out There, directed by Simon Reinix, part of the In Competition strand. Still grieving after the disappearance of her scientist father, amateur teenage astronomer Maz, played by Neris Amber Stocks, is convinced that she has spotted something suspicious hovering above her sleepy Welsh hometown. Recruiting the support of her best mate, Little Ellis, played by Tom Moya, UFO-obsessed conspiracy theorist Bryn, played by Aniron Bernard, apologies for getting that name wrong, and local psychic Shifty Gruff, played with glee and aplomb by Michael Sheen. Maz and her gang of misfits set out to uncover the truth, one that is far more complex than they might have expected. Breathlessly paced, wittily evoking its 1999 setting via superb music choices, I concur, Costumes and production design. This charming Welsh debut from director Simon Reinix is poignant, funny, and entirely unpredictable. And that blurb is from Paul Ridd. So I really like this one, but let's hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I mean, I went into this film because obviously it's a Welsh film and I reside in Wales, so I had to go up and sort of see what we're making, really. Yeah, I knew nothing going into it. I think we had one photo. The trailer probably had even dropped when I went up. But yeah, this was set up to me to be very much a sci-fi film, and it does start that way, but it very much becomes a emotional film, kind of coming to terms with grief, finding your own sort of identity within the world, like letting people go. It's a big part of this film, which I found really interesting. And hearing from the director as well, sort of his own experience of grief was really interesting. And that's very clear, I think, with the voice of this film. It's a great departure for a lot of the actors as well. Like Aaron's, like I've never seen him play that kind of um, sort of hermited, geeky character. That's really fun. And obviously Michael Sheen was great. And also giving like a platform for young people was amazing to have them kind of carry this film. I thought their performances and relationship was great, and that clearly has gone on since the film. I think they said like that they're best mates outside, which is great. I do think cinematically it does feel a bit low budget still. I do
Yeah.
still think it feels in that realm of almost TV film, a step outside of Doctor Who film kind of thing. I still think it just feels a little bit low budget. But I think it's a great kind of um, starting place for this director and getting these actors kind of on screen. I think it's a great starting place. I just think it could have felt a bit more cinematic at points for me anyway. And I think because we're sort of maybe don't get as much aliens as we want to in this film, it kind of, shifted my expectations. But nonetheless, I still went along the journey of the characters. And it's cool to see films being made in Wales. And I think I spotted a few locations. I think I've filmed a job in there. So that's really cool. But yeah, no, it was great to see Welsh cinema in Edinburgh.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with pretty much all of that. I've heard some people say online that it was a little bit too CBBC esque, which I thought was a little bit harsh.
Yeah, it's
But
a step up
I
from that.
kind of get the point that they're making. It's not. I imagine they didn't have, it wasn't a huge budget. For me, the first thing I wrote, kind of when I was writing down my thoughts after I saw it was X Files meets Amblin meets CBBC. Was kind of the
Mm,
first thing I wrote. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so the 90s clothes, the 90s music, the 90s hair. I think I've got an interview with the cast and the director on the channel. So be sure to check that out after the live stream, guys. Tom Moya, who plays the friend, little, I think my brother looked like him in the 90s. Like
no way.
the curtains haircut, the boy band haircut, the kind of clothes, like it very much brought me back to the 90s as a teenager. Like I think I was literally like in like they're supposed to be like what 17, 16, 17, something like that. And I think that was pretty much the age I was in 1999. So I was at that, I recognized that era right away.
Mm,
So I got a kind of like a nostalgia hit from that as well. I thought it was great turns from two leads from Eris Amberstocks and Tom Moya, if I'm right. But again, Michael Sheen just completely stole this movie for me. And
yeah.
again, much like we talked about with the Incomer, I would love to see the outtakes of this because like how you would knock. I mean, though, I mean, and they talked about that in the interview, just like they had to like it's kind of pinch themselves at some points because they're acting in a scene with Michael Sheen. But not only that, but he's playing, and he's, for lack of a better phrase, he's the comedy relief. He's the comedy
Mm,
sidekick character that comes in for like he's only in what maybe three, maybe four scenes, and
yeah.
most of it is just like him playing out and out comedy, shifty gruff, um, thrift store owner slash weed mushroom dealer. You know, so the fact that he's a drug dealer, kind of like I kind of was like really CBBC, but that's not anyway. But
True.
yeah, I really enjoyed this one. There's a couple of hilarious lines from there. I don't know if you remember the younger kids that just throw out insults at them.
Yeah,
I won't say them here
brutal.
because YouTube might take offense to it, but they were hilariously brutal insults. So yeah, it's not my pick of the festival, but of all the films I saw, it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. don't know what's happening release wise. Much like yourself, I don't think I don't think the trailer was out when I saw the movie. I think
No, I
during
think
the
dropped to
course,
the
yeah,
festival.
during the course of the festival, I think they dropped like a 1 minute trailer. Um, but I think a movie like this, I'm hoping it will get some form of release because I think, I mean, I won't pretend to know the ins and outs of the business of the movie business, but you've got Michael Sheen, you've got an Iron Bernard, you've got a couple other recognisable faces in there.
Yeah.
I think this could do not bad in the
Mm.
cinema if you time the release right. I mean, don't bring it out, against Doomsday in June, but I think it could do not bad. I think it could do not bad. So yeah, so that was out there. And again, I've got interviews with cast and crew. No, let's quickly jump into the chat before we move. We've got Badger Rips. How we doing, buddy? Badger is saying, hang on, I need to zoom in. I can't read this screen. Nice to see you collabing. Hope all is jiggy. Indeed, my man. We've got Kill Shell. No idea what film you're talking about, as I feel like I've walked into a room of strangers and interrupted a convo. You've not interrupted a convo, mate. That's all good. That's all good. So as the title hopefully should say, this is Sarah and I chatting through all the films that we saw at the Edinburgh Film Festival. So yeah, if you weren't at the Edinburgh Film Festival, you probably won't have heard of most of these movies. Um, Also, what's Chelsea say? Oh, the link to Sarah's channel doesn't work either, Jimmy. Oh, my bad. I'll fix that. I'll fix that
How
link.
dare you?
That's what's the word?
Deliberate, I know it is.
Oh, what's the word that the young crowd use? But oh, I can't remember. What am I doing? I am. What's the word?
Riz? No, not
No,
Riz.
no, no. It's
Glaze?
no. Too old to remember it. Anyway, I'll fix that link. What we're going to do at the next movie we're going to talk about, the next time it's just a movie Sarah's talking about, I will dive in and see if I can fix that link. But if you search on YouTube Sarah's Popcorn Chat, you should
Yeah.
absolutely find
It
it.
either comes up with me or recipes for popcorn. So
Ah.
it's one of two.
Okay, so let's move on. What's next here? Is it one of yours? It's one of yours. Excellent. So you can talk about this, and I'll try and fix that link. So this is The
Cool.
Last Resort. I'll read the blurb, and then
Mhm.
Sarah will talk through her thoughts on the movie because I did not see this one. So The Last Resort, directed by Maria Sodal. Apologies for the pronunciation. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. Part of the out of competition strand, a sun drenched Gran Canaria resort becomes the unlikely setting for an urgent moral reckoning when an unexpected incident leaves a family bound to refuge in desperate need. Nothing that follows is straightforward or comfortable. With lead performances that are raw and utterly compelling, Sodal directs with precision and humanity, crafting a film as tense as it is timely. One of the most urgent and necessary films this year. That's high praise from Sarah Cowdell. Let's hear what Sarah from Popcorn Chat thinks about it.
What a transition.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I went into this film mainly because I also do videos for a channel called Nordic Watch List. So we cover sort of anything that's Nordic, Scandi, outside of those areas really, cover it in the UK. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this film because it's a Norwegian director, but it's about a Danish family. There's also a Swedish man in there, so it's ticking boxes. Yeah, going into this blind is the best way. And yeah, it's an amazing film. I think it is my favorite out of the film festival. Seeing it 9:30 in the morning was kind of an emotional wreck, just because the themes in which it delves into are really quite scary. How happening right now, literally. Um, recently had something to do with Spain, where people washed up from Morocco on the beach, and this is basically what happens in that film. And yeah, it was just completely a kind of discovery into sort of humanity and our response to these moments of crisis, what you would do in that situation. I had my own sort of morality sort of questioned whilst watching this film. There's some amazing performances from actors that I've never seen before. And there's even two young girls acting it who are about 10 and 6, and they give amazing performances. Um, and everyone around as well, that supporting cast. We have, actors from Spain, Afghan, Morocco. There's so many different actors, and they used people who had been in refugee camps previously to be in the films. So those experiences are authentic and those reactions are genuine. I think that was a really nice touch. Yeah, I just absolutely love this film. I think it just kind of is such a tight script. It's effective. You will cry. There are moments where it does ask you to laugh as well, and kind of the dark, twisted sort of black comedy of it all. But yeah, I really like this one. But I seem to be looking at reviews on Letterboxd. I think I'm the only one that's sort of given it 4 stars. Everyone else has given it lower, but
Oh,
I really enjoyed this one.
like lower as in like low, or lower as in just like three?
Averaging, I'd say about 3 stars
Right.
maximum.
I
I'd
mean,
say,
as
but
they say on the Empire Film Podcast, 3 stars is still a recommendation. You know.
yeah, yeah,
So
it's over 50% good.
yeah. You mentioned the Nordic watch list. Then tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that is a website predominantly where you can read articles or read interviews or even watch interviews with actors, directors, authors, all of Nordic media basically. And we tell you what's good to watch basically amongst the world of streaming or cinema releases. So, as part of it, I was able to speak to Maria, the director, after seeing the film. So, there is an interview over on the Nordic Watchlist YouTube channel. You can go and check that out. And yeah, we just got into the discussion really about the film. And I told her that it made me cry. She was like, "Oh my gosh," like, and I was just being very genuine. But she seemed like a lovely woman. She had a film a few years ago as well called Hope with no, Stellan Skarsgård.
I didn't see it, but
Sort of,
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of her most biographical work. That's another one
Right.
worth checking out. Yeah, I feel like there's only a handful of us that watched this in the press screening, but I think everyone that I spoke to afterwards absolutely loved it and just kind of I need 10 minutes to sit with this film because a lot of it's, just sort of washing over you. Yeah, I loved it.
And you said this is probably your favorite of the festival.
I think so. Yeah, as
Huh.
someone who's very sort of quite harsh on their ratings, I gave 3 films 4 stars this festival, Jim.
So
So
did
it's
I.
pretty.
I was very surprised at the. So I think we both saw about 10-ish films each.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I don't think I gave anything less than 3 stars, and I gave three
Mm.
or four, or maybe even 5 films 4 stars. Like there was no 5 star or 4.5 star like masterpieces. There
Yeah.
was no there was no 1 star films. I think I gave one.
No.
I think I've got one film I gave 2 stars. But yeah, overall the quality of movies, at least from the ones that I saw, I mean, there's like over 100 I think in total. So
Mm.
only saw like 10-ish. But yeah, the
Yeah.
the quality of the ones that we both saw, by all intents and purposes, seems pretty good. Right, let's jump quickly back into the comments before we jump on to the next movie. So Kelshell is saying, no idea what film you're talking about. Feel like I've walked into a room of strangers. Nope, we already read that comment. The link to say it isn't working. Read that one as well. I'll scroll down. That's why. Hang on, let me scroll down. The one I was referring to was the CBBC one. Ah, yes, that would be out there. That was probably the wrong moment to jump into the live stream. We've got Gareth Video Tasties, evening everyone. How we doing, Gareth? Uh, Sounds like one to watch. I think, as Sarah says, avoid the trailers.
Mhm.
Are we still talking about Last Resort for that one?
Yeah, that's my approach just going forward. I didn't watch any of the trailers or read any of the synopsis for any of these films. I
Ah,
just went in
no.
cold, and that was the best thing I ever did.
I think I do that with some films, but then some films I'm either all or nothing. Like some films I'll watch every trailer I can see before I go and see it, and then some films I'm like, nope, I'm going to avoid the hell out of anything with that. Thing is,
I think that
with most films at film festivals, like a lot of the time there is no trailer you can watch.
yeah,
You're going to see a movie
or
based
no
on
posters.
based on a
Me trying to find
poster.
posters and
Not even a
images.
poster. Like there's one. I mean, out there specifically, there wasn't even a poster. It was that one frame with an iron and the exploding camper van
Yeah.
and the synopsis, and that's it. You okay, let's crack on to the next movie. I think this is one we both saw. Yes, this is Extra Geography. So directed by Molly Manners, part of the Out of Competition. In their final year at boarding school in the early 2000s, two best friends with their own shared language and offbeat ideas about growing up set themselves the task of falling in love with their geography teacher. Two breakout star turns from Galaxy Clear and Marnie Duggan, and a vivid sense of time and place set the stage in Molly Manor's delightful exploration of female friendship and adolescent intimacy. Fresh, charming, and original, This is a freewheeling and richly realised coming of age comedy drama with a distinct personality and tone. And that blurb was from Emma Boa. So you saw this as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And why don't you take us away first?
Oh, I mean, this was literally my first film of the festival. I arrived at 2 o'clock and it was one I saw at 4 o'clock. So yeah, it was a great way to sort of just be thrown into the festival itself. I think I saw the poster and I saw it was a British film and I was like, yeah, I'm in. Um, yeah, absolutely loved this one. Similar to kind of The Income a little bit, has those moments of sort of humor and sort of relatability kind of moments in terms of friendships, but then it also has these darker moments as well. You like it verges on dark comedy. There's some weird things with the teacher going on, like what is this politically correct? It kind of pushes it further than most kind of coming of age girlhood kind of films that I've seen. But I think again, the same with Out There, like these performances from actors that I've never seen on screen before were amazing. Like these two girls especially were so good. They held their own. Their relationship was amazing, and the side characters were great. The Irish friend as well. She was excellent, kind of giving the sort of the sort of humor amongst it all. Yeah, and it was just shot beautifully, directed really well from Molly Manners, who had done One Day, the TV show. I think she sort of add the kind of romantic element to a story about friendship, or more, possibly, however you read into it. But I think they just kind of captured what it meant to be a girl in sort of, I think it was supposed to be set in the early 2000s. And I think it just kind of pulled upon all of those films that I grew up watching and kind of melded them together. Yeah, really strong start of the festival for me. Again, not perfect. I think I would have liked to have seen a few more kind of character wrap ups in that third act,
Yeah.
and some kind of repercussions for certain characters, like what happened to them. But generally, I think 2/3 of the film is amazing. Really great kind of feature debut for a film from Molly Manners. So really sort of impressed by this film.
That's ironic that it was the first film that you saw. This was, I think, one of, if not the last films, either the last film or the second last film I saw at
Wow.
the festival. I didn't make it to any of the screenings. I watched it on one of the screener links that were fortunate enough to get sent the press end. Uh, it was a last minute one for me because I wasn't able to be at the festival every day. And the day that they were doing sit down chats with the guys with I think Molly was there from Extra. I think some of the
Yeah.
cast were there as well. That was like one of the only days that I wasn't at the festival, so I couldn't get a sit down interview. So it wasn't top of my. I didn't have to watch it because I had other films to
Mm.
watch for interviews. But then after the fact, I was like, I've still got a couple of links to watch while the festival's on. So I watched it, and yeah, I'm glad I did. I think immediately it reminded me of early Wes Anderson.
Mm.
Bottle
Yeah.
Rocket specifically, I was like, oh, this has got Bottle Rocket vibes. Like, I think if nothing else, as you've said, it's a showcase for the two leads, for the main actors in it, but also the writing more than anything else. It's so sharp and witty and well written. There's some standout lines which I took a note of. So again, some out of context, non spoiler lines that just made me chuckle. I want to be as good at love as I am at maths. It's not very well written, and that's one of the characters talking about Shakespeare.
Mm.
And do I have a shit mouth? So that kind of that stood out to me. It's very wordy, but it's
Mm.
witty and sharp and enjoyable. And the needle drops are on point. Crimson and Clover, I think, is one of my favorite songs, and that's in this movie. So immediately it gets extra points for having that. Again, I think it's the main takeaway is the showcase of the writing performances of the two leads. It started off really strong. It did taper a little bit. I think to your point of what you said, it didn't really end. It just kind of like
Mm.
fizzled. And I don't necessarily mean that as a massive negative point, but I would have liked a little bit more closure, for lack of a
Yeah.
better phrase. Still very enjoyable, and again, cracking. I think the director Molly
Manners.
Molly Manners. I think Molly also wrote it.
Mm.
If I'm getting that wrong, apologies to the writer.
I think she wrote it with another woman
Yeah,
who was there as well.
but just the dialogue and the performances are what are the main things I'll be taking away from this. Yeah, very good. Right, let's crack on. That was extra geography. Next up, we have. So this one's all on you because I didn't see this one either. I'll quickly read the blurb and over to you. So my NDA, part of the out of competition strand. A gripping observational documentary exposing secrecy as a psychological weapon wielded by corporate America. That's a bit of a tongue twister. As three ordinary people choose to break their non-disclosure agreements, this nail-biting film reveals how persuasive public censorship and manipulating justice in every corner of American society. As the legal, public, and emotional stakes rise, an intimate lane, each character asks what happens when the most important truths and those carrying the weight of them are silenced. That blurb is from Therese Walsh. Sarah, thoughts on my ND?
I'll be honest and say, Jim, that this was a bit of a filler film for me. I had some time to kill and I thought, do you know what? I'll select this film. I think I saw the poster again. I think that was used quite a lot by Edinburgh, that kind of woman in the rearview mirror kind of looking, what is this? I didn't even realize it was a documentary. I thought it was going to be a fictional film. I was like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, my only documentary of the film festival. But yeah, I think it was very interesting. Sort of look, especially it's all kind of set in America. This kind of overuse of NDAs. I mean, I think even I've signed NDAs for my work, and you might have as well, Jim.
Yeah, they can
But
be quite scary.
yeah, it's really scary when you work with certain clients or certain companies. You're like, you're not, it's got to be all hush hush around this. But that wasn't what they were intended for, and it gives you that history, which is great. And then we sort of follow these three characters, one going through basically they all want to break their NDAs, and one's doing it because they were assaulted by a colleague. Someone wants to, they're on the wrong side of history, basically running a magazine. They want to call out Trump and all that. And then another person was racially discriminated. So it's their kind of stories being told through this documentary. And I really, really enjoyed, I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I really liked the first sort of 2/3 of this documentary. But then it gets kind of a bit convoluted in the American sort of legal system, and someone who doesn't live in America, I found it a
Yeah.
little bit confusing at points in terms of what what stands, and they're having all these conversations with they've all got the same lawyer basically. So all these kind of conversations like, I'm getting a bit muddled here. But there's some really sort of human moments at the core of it that's really interesting. Like one of the women who is probably the main character in this, she was assaulted by one of her colleagues. Like she says that she was a gay woman assaulted by a man, and then she was like, I'm scared that I can never get married to my fiance because that is a legal thing, and like she could lose all her money. I was like, that is really heartbreaking, like that kind of side of it. So it really did add that kind of emotional stuff. But I just think structurally it could have just been a bit more informative about the kind of legal system, because I feel like it would be fine in an American crowd, but bringing it over to the UK, maybe it kind of loses that kind of understanding of their
Yeah.
sort of system. But yeah, it was pretty well done documentary. A lot of kind of, here's a little compact camera, film yourself, a lot of Zoom calls. So nothing too cinematic, but yeah, it was a fine film. I'm not gonna sort of write home about it.
Yeah, one of the reviews that I read, I think, or was it a reel that I watched? I think someone, either a reel on Instagram or on Letterboxd, someone said pretty much what you said there. Says the more you understand the American legal system, the more you will get out of this movie. So I think there's,
Yeah.
even though I've not seen the movie, but from what you've said there and from what that review that I read there is speaking to, is that you'll get more out of it the more you understand the American legal
Mhm.
system. So there might be an element of like a geographical wall, like a divide put up, because the American legal system, is different than ours, and it's what's the word? America's like a very litigious nation, like in general, compared to the UK at least. So even though, as we both said, we've both signed NDAs for work, but it's for me, it's mainly about like don't spoil the new Spider-Man movie, things like that, as opposed to losing your settlement money if you marry your husband, as to what you just said, or marry your fiance.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think I've no idea what the kind of release plan for this would be, but it does feel like there's a barrier in terms of, you know, the transatlantic understanding of it. But yeah, so there we go. So that was my NDA. Let's quickly jump into the comments before we move on. So Kelshell is chatting with Gareth. Gave yours up to going to watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3 video. Foolish Foolish had them all on VHS back in the day and then in the landfill now. Yeah, I not foolishly, but I somewhat regrettably ditched my entire VHS collection once I started replacing them with DVDs. So that's a shame. However, when I started replacing DVDs with Blu-rays, I did keep the DVDs. And then kind of similarly when I started collecting 4Ks, it's not like I've binned the Blu-rays. I've still got all my DVDs, you know, they're in the loft, but got my Blu-rays and my 4Ks. But yeah, I binned my VHS collection. I don't think it would have been that huge. Like I started getting DVDs when they first came out, kind of like 1998, 1999, I think. So by that point, I would have been 16, 17, 15, 16, 17-ish. So I wouldn't have had a huge VHS collection. But I do remember, this has got nothing to do with the Edinburgh Film Festival, but I do remember going to Woolworths and buying the original Star Wars trilogy, like the pre-special edition version on VHS. And I don't own them anymore. They're apparently quite a rare item. So I would have literally taken them to the dump, to the recycling centre. But hey ho, what can you do? Right, that was my NDA. Next up, it might be a movie we've both seen. Yes, it's a movie we've both seen. It's Mission. It's Paul Wright's Mission with George Mackay and Rosie McEwen. I'll do the blurb and then we will have a wee chat about this one. So this was part of the in competition strand. Dylan, played by George Mackay, has reached the end of his tether with his dead end job and lonely, unfulfilling existence. Over the course of a week, he blows up his life, pushing boundaries and seeking meaning in the wake of extreme chaos as he wrestles with trying to feel alive, finding a reason to go on. Paul Wright's immersive, expressionistic portrait of a young man's existential angst and directionless fury is vividly composed, frenetically paced, and fraught with tension. Filmed in Scotland, crackling with anarchic energy, featuring a compelling performance from Mackay, this is a bold, visionary film that demands to be seen on the big screen, and that's from Emma Boa. Before I throw it over to you, I'll say apologies to Emma. I didn't see it on the big screen. That was one that I had to watch on a screener link. So, yeah. Over to you, Sarah. Mission.
This is one I did watch the trailer for, actually. I know I've just been a hypocrite and said that I don't watch trailers. I did see the trailer before this. And the way in which it was set up, to me, it was going to be a film. It felt quite religious to me. And I think with the name, I took this kind of religious aspect, like, oh, it's my mission to do this thing.
Oh, that's
Not
interesting.
that. It's not that at all. I should probably go back and watch the trailer now seeing the film, just to see if it's still crafted that way. But I had to go and see this film because George Mackay, my boy, he's there and he's in it, and he's doing indie cinema again, which we love. He can do the big films and he can do the small films.
Yeah, I think he's been at more Scottish film festivals in the past 2 years than I have.
Yeah, yeah, he loves it. He loves Scotland. Yeah, I was really impressed by George Mackay's performance in this. I think he does an amazing job. Once again, he gives us like another departure from what we've seen him do before. I think he completely embodies the kind of physicality when it comes to acting in this film. I think he completely descends into madness, dare I say, in this film. And I think him working alongside what's the actress who plays his sister?
Rosie McEwen.
Rosa McEwen from Blue Jean, which I love. It was great to see her on screen. I think they have a great dynamic. But generally, I found the film quite nauseating, and I know that's probably the point in terms of the
Yeah.
editing, the kind of repetitive kind of dance scenes, or going through like camera obscura or whatever it may be. It made me literally have to turn away from the screen because I started to feel a bit motion sickness, which I don't feel. And I did feel as though it was setting up nice ideas. It sort of utilizes this kind of mixed media. We've got that kind of VHS trend where there's a lot of kind of memories, flashbacks through the VHS sort of medium. However, I don't think it kind of utilizes that. I would like to have seen things that it sets up in those childhood memories sort of utilized, because I thought, oh, this could be like Saint Maud which is an
Yeah.
amazing film, and I think it could have kind of really built to that, but it doesn't. It might like I just thought it kind of like fizzled out a little bit, which I guess is a different film in that sense. But yeah, I think George is great. I think the film maybe just had that sort of third act sort of reworked, kind of give the character satisfaction that I was looking for. I
Yeah.
was just looking for a bigger um crescendo basically with the film.
Yeah. It definitely felt like it rushed to an anticlimactic ending. Like,
Yeah.
it just kind of like you've got the first act, the second act, and then you've got a really small third act that and then it's um I got my immediate reaction to this was I was like, oh, that I got Taxi Driver vibes very much from this. Like, I thought,
Yeah.
I won't say whether it does or doesn't do things that Taxi Driver does because I don't want to potentially spoil anything by
Mm.
confirming what it doesn't do. But yeah, Taxi Driver vibes, very very meditative, melancholic, like a almost like a tone poem character study, as opposed to a work of narrative. Like, there's no real narrative to this. There's no plot. Like, there's no like, A to B to C character has to place to get Y solves the problem. It's not a traditional kind of structure in that sense. But like you said, George Mackay is great in this. He's one of those actors where it's like he's been in films that aren't amazing, but he's always good. Like, he's never bad in the films that he's in. Um, there's a film that I absolutely love that he's in called, I don't know if you've seen Captain Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Love that movie. Love that movie. And that was before I think that's first. I think that was the first thing I saw him in. That's a movie that I think more people should have seen. Captain Fantastic. But anyway, back to Mission. Yeah, I I liked this, that I got a kick out of seeing like the Glasgow locations. I know that I know that shouldn't make you like the movie a little more, but I
Mm.
did. It was like the tunnel at the SECC. I'm assuming I think that's anyway. So yeah, this was good performance. Bit of an odd movie that doesn't really go anywhere. It's not a movie that I'd be desperate to watch again. And if I'm ranking all the movies that I saw at the film festival, I wouldn't be like, you have to see this movie. I think if you're a George Mackay fan or Paul Wright fan, you'll know what you're in for. But as a movie in and of itself, great performance, but you know, it's a 3-star film at best,
Yeah, I
I would
agree.
say. Yeah. So that was Mission. Let's quickly jump back into the comments before we move on. Alfredoistic says, I liked Mission, pretty hypnotic and trippy. George Mackay performance was very good. Can't argue with that. It was hypnotic and trippy, and George is
Mm.
very good. So I think, that sounds like something you would like. You'll probably like this. If you like your movies to, have a beginning with a plot. Maybe not so much. That's maybe a bit harsh. That's maybe a bit harsh. Let's see. Kelsey, I'll just saying foolishly through all these VHS. Yeah, me too. Okay, that was Mission. Let's move on because I think we're at the halfway point almost. Capsized. You didn't see this one, did you? Right.
No,
Let
I
me.
wish I did.
Oh yes. Let me jump into mine. I wrote a longer-ish review on Letterboxd for this, but I'll try and condense it down. So, Capsized, directed by Lindsay Ryan, part of the In Competition strand. An apparently idyllic houseboat trip is thrown into disarray when Diane, played by Lily Rabe, and her children are rocked by revelations of financial strife kept secret by obstinate husband Ray, played by Reese Fans. At sea and with a chaotic holiday ahead of them, the family must struggle to keep it together and face an uncertain future, but not before competing in a truly epic fishing competition. With an easygoing charm, affection for its complex characters, and a real sense of place, Lindsay Ryan's beautifully filmed and hilarious American indie debut tackles a very contemporary story of economic uncertainty with optimism, warmth, and humour. And that's from Paul. Yeah, this was a contender for my favourite of the festival. I Let's see, I've got my notes over here about this. It's a very relatable story, sadly, in the current climate with the whole cost of living crisis, families being evicted, family having to downsize, and really going through a struggle through no fault of their own, just with the economic downturn, and big corporations doing what big corporations do. That's a different conversation for a different video. But yeah, parents with multiple kids who don't earn megabucks will really relate to that in this respect, but it might be a little bit too close to home for some people. I think Reese fans and Lily Rabe are brilliant in this. I mean, unsurprisingly, they're both good in everything, but they are so good in this. They're very different characters. Reese fans, Ray, the husband, he's very out there, very outgoing, very loud, very manic. Like the younger kids idolize him because he's a very funny dad. Whereas Lily Rabe's character, whose name escapes me, Diane, sorry, her character's much more subtle and quiet and understated. Like all of the kids are great in this too. I think there's four kids, like two older teenagers, a boy and a girl, and two younger kids, a boy and a girl. I think it's four kids. Um, Griffin Gluck is the older brother. Sarah Catherine Hook is the older sister. They're equally as good as Lily Rabe and Reese fans. The relationship, the power slash maturity, the power slash maturity dynamic between mother and daughter, and equally between father and son, really interesting and fascinating and very, very, very subtle. It's kind of like a blink and you miss it moments, but there's will I say this? I'll say this. So this is a mild spoiler for something that happens in the movie. So mild spoilers in 3, 2, 1. There's a scene on the boat where Reese Fan's dad is doing his like manic crazy thing. Younger son, who's like 7, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10. Anyway, he's young, thinks that his dad has been amazing and cool, and then the older brother, Griffin Gluck, turns to the younger brother and says, "Don't copy dad. That's not cool. Don't be like dad." And then that's it. And just they don't, the older son looks at the dad, and the dad looks at the son, and they have this moment where they're just like, and it's not like the dad, Reese fans, he doesn't give the older son any trouble for saying that. He's just like shocked by that because it's in that moment of maturity where the teenage son is telling the young son, "Don't be like dad. That's not a good way to be." And there's similar scenes with the mother and the daughter, and it's really heartbreaking. Yeah, this was a really good movie. Really enjoyed this one. I think I wrote Little Miss Sunshine meets Uncut Gems. You wouldn't think those two movies would go together, but I genuinely think, yep, that's what this movie felt like. It had the charm and the loveliness and the warmth of Little Miss Sunshine with the family dynamic and the humour, but it also had the immediate rising stress and tension of Uncut Gems. Definitely, definitely worth your time if this is getting a cinema release. I've no idea if it is, but I would say definitely check it out if you can. So I think of the movies that you haven't seen from our list, that would be the one I would recommend the most.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people sort of talking about it. They're like, "Have you seen Capsize?" I said, "No." I think I missed it. I think they had the opportunity to get a screener, but I just completely I don't know what this film is, bypass it. But now I have massive FOMO because everyone said they really liked it.
As you should, as you should. I've got an interview with the director Lindsay Ryan on the channel as well. That was really great. Got a lot of insights into that, into the filming process. This is another mild spoiler, but I'll wait for it. I won't say it now because it's on that video about one of the scenes, just the way Reese fans worked on set. Yeah, really enjoyed that movie. It was a contender for my favourite of the festival, probably my number 2 of the festival. But we'll get to what my number 1 is eventually. So that was Capsized, part of the in competition strand. I don't think there's any other comments to jump through. Oh yeah, Killshell just says, "Is Captain Fantastic with Viggo Mortensen?" Yes, Captain Fantastic with Viggo Mortensen, George Mackay. Who else? Steve Zahn, I think, is in it. The brother-in-law. There's lots of like recognizable faces. All the names escape me just now, but it is brilliant. George Mackay is in it as well. He's plays one of the sons. It's do you know what? It's one of those don't look at the trailer, don't read up on it, just find it and watch it. It's brilliant.
But the guy who directed it, didn't he then do one of the Halloween films?
Did he?
David Gordon Green.
Wait, I didn't even know that.
Oh no, it's not. It's not. It's Matt Ross.
That
Take it back.
That's an interesting transition.
Matt Ross, who was an actor in American Psycho.
Right.
That was my connection.
That's yeah. Fair enough. It's not like it's live.
We're
not live. It's all good. Yeah. Captain Fantastic is brilliant. Yes. When did that come out?
2016, it says.
Jesus, that's 10 years old. Wow. Yeah, that's in a career full of amazing movies. It's one of Viggo Mortensen's best.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
he's full wang as well.
indeed, indeed, he hangs down. Yeah. So there you go. That's what more do you want? Right, let's move on. Let's see what's next. I think we both saw this one as well. Borges and Me. Did you see this?
I did.
Excellent. Let me do the quick blurb. So, part of the out of competition strand, in the early 1970s, writer and student Jay Perini, played by Finn Whitehead, finds himself committed to driving blind poet Jorge Luis Borges, played by Luis Nieto. Apologies to everyone of that nationality whose names I am butchering, across the Scottish countryside. Over the course of an eventful journey, the pair form a complex and rich bond, one imbued with poetry, music, and melancholy. Beautifully adapted from Perini's memoir, this gorgeously shot and superbly acted film from director Mark Turtletop evokes memory, time, and place with a remarkably vivid and clear eyed candour. Featuring terrific supporting performances from Scottish acting legends Alan Cumming, Peter Mullen, and Freya Mavor. I should know this because we did an interview. This, I'll add John Gordon Sinclair to that list. This is literate and grown-up filmmaking of the highest order, and that's from Paul Ridd. Sarah, thoughts on Borges and Me?
This is very similar to the Out There film where I just saw a photo, I think it was, and that was it. I knew it was based on a book, and that was it. I knew it was a real people kind of film. And then, yeah, this is very much the kind of road trip film. You kind of the only one I can sort of liken to is like Philomena or something like that. These characters are going to go on a journey. They're going to butt heads. They're going to learn each other about life, and it's that kind of typical movie archetype, really. Um, yeah, it's fine. This film is the most average film I think I saw at the festival. I was like, it's fine. It's something I would show to like grandparents on a Sunday afternoon. I
Yes.
think it's pretty harmless, life affirming. Um, I think some good performances. I saw Alan Cumming was in there. I was like, oh, great. And then he's in it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see Finn working again because I haven't seen him in a film for a long time. I
But he
think
was in a
Beyond was
movie.
like,
Sorry to jump in. He was in a movie that played at the Glasgow Film Festival this year,
okay,
called Satisfaction.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. I have a not to shamelessly plug other videos on my channel, but I'm going to shamelessly plug other videos on my channel. I've got a podcast interview with one of the producers from Satisfaction, Raphael. Second name escapes me. He was gracious enough in February at the Glasgow Film Festival to come in for a proper sit down chat about that movie. Satisfaction, of which Finn is in. But yeah, other than that, I don't remember seeing him in much. Sorry, back to you.
Yeah, I thought the supporting cast were really strong. Like you mentioned already, like Peter Mullen, Freya Maver as well, amazing sort of Scottish talent. So it's nice to see their faces appear. The main guy who plays Borges, like never seen him before, but I think he sort of had the kind of comical edge that you expect with kind of like a grandparent kind of figure, maybe in your own life. So that was nice to see. Very warming, very funny. The only bit I don't, it's not spoiled at all, but there's this whole sort of scene about virginity, and I was like, why the hell is this in here? I felt so uncomfortable, and I had that with a film earlier this year called, what's it called? It's the Alan Bennett one with Ray Fiennes, where he was a choir master or something.
Oh, I
There's
didn't
a
see it, but yeah,
very similar vibes, an Alan Bennett kind of thing, and then they're just about these young people trying to get their virginity. I'm like, what is it with these kinds of films that are focusing that? I'm not sure.
yeah,
But yeah, this is one I would send my nan to on a Sunday afternoon.
yeah.
That's my kind of vibe of the film.
Exactly what you said. It's fine. It's fine. It's meandering and melancholic. I think Finn does a great job with the accent. I thought, because I think he's English, obviously, but he's
Yeah.
playing an American, and sickening wealth of Scottish acting talent: Peter Mullen, Alan Cumming, John Gordon Sinclair, Freya Mavor. Um, yeah, I've got a sit down chat with both Freya and Finn that's already on the channel, but also a sit down chat with director Mark Turtletop and the actor that plays Borges, Luis Nieto. That's not edited yet, but that'll be on the channel like within a few days, hopefully. Um, I think in a movie full of good performances, I think Louis Gnecco's performance as Borges, and I'm sorry to say this, it kinda stood out as being a little bit caricaturic almost. It
Mm.
really stood out almost as if he's in a different movie tonally.
Bit like Matt Smith, Morbius.
Yeah. I never thought we'd be talking about Morbius on this in the Edinburgh Film Festival stream, but yes, he's acting in a completely different movie. It felt like it looks gorgeous. You know, it's St Andrews, the Highlands and Islands, the autumnal colours, the grey, moody but beautiful skies. Um, I think people that I spoke to at the festival and then reading a few Letterboxd reviews like you, it's got mixed reviews. It's kind of the
Yeah.
definition of a 3-star film at best, I would say. It's yeah, the thing that just stood out to me was some of the characters tonally felt like they were in a different. But I think everyone from chatting to the cast and the director, I think everyone enjoyed making the movie. I think it's based. I think to your point about the virginity, the sex scene. Oh, it's not even a sex scene. It's just it's talked about. You know, you see the pre and the post,
Yeah.
and you know it's talked about in quite a refreshing, funny, charming way. I really enjoyed that stuff. But that scene in and of itself, you know, other than that, it's a perfect Sunday afternoon sit and watch it with your gran
Yeah.
movie. Um, but then Freya does have a hilarious line
He does.
that is the like we were talking about. And Freya also had another movie at the festival that I don't think either of us saw. Did you see Mia Moore?
No, I
Nope,
didn't.
I didn't see that one either. So she didn't know that that film was playing at the film festival, and so I opened you know in my sit down interview with Finn and Freya, I opened the chat with, so Freya, you've got two movies here. She was like, do I? And I immediately panicked, thinking, oh no, I've got the names wrong. I've got the actor wrong. This is so embarrassing. I'm never going to I'm never going to survive this. But no, she did. She didn't realize that Mia Moore was at the festival as well. So that derailed our interview for a good 5 minutes as we all laughed at that. But then we managed to get back to the chat. Sadly, I didn't have enough time to talk to Finn about Dunkirk. Oh, I had a few
Mm.
Dunkirk questions I wanted to throw in there, but we completely ran out of time. Yeah, this is it's fine. It's a fine movie. It looks like a movie. Like it looks fairly high
Mm.
end, you know. So cinematography wise, I'm not sure. I can't know who the cinematographer was, but you know, it definitely looks like a movie. And like I said, it was funny watching scenes of St Andrews, and I'm like, probably not had to do that much CGI to paint out like the modernity of it, because St Andrews kind of still looks like that, like the golf course, you know, other than like TV aerials and stuff like that. The golf course and the main hotel kind of, I imagine, I think looks the same and has done for like
Mm.
a hundred or so years. That was interesting, but yeah, it was fine. That's Borges and Me, adapted from memoir by Rini. And I think on that note, when you're adapting not that I've adapted a memoir, but when you're adapting a book, especially a memoir, it must be difficult to pick and choose what to show to try and fit the narrative thread of the movie you want to tell. And I think that's maybe where we were kind of butting heads against some of the tonal inconsistencies, you know. But yeah, so that was Borges and Me. Let's see, what do we have? Any comments to get through? Kelshell says he has ordered it thanks to you both. I'm assuming that means you've ordered Captain Fantastic. Brilliant. Yay, physical media. I'm assuming you've
Do we
ordered
get commission?
ooh, I mean, I do have an Amazon affiliate link, so I should have put that in the description. Hopefully you've ordered the Blu-ray and not, you know, the digital copy. But yeah, that's Borges and Me. Let's see what's next. Ah, this one is Hungry. You didn't see this, I don't think, did you? Right.
No. Is this the hippo one?
This is the hippo one, yeah. I'll take it. You're right. You can have a pee break or get another cup of tea. So part of the Midnight Madness strand, Hungry. When a group of tourists ventures off the beaten track in the vast swamplands of the Louisiana Bayou, they find themselves trapped in a claustrophobic open locale by a very large, very active, very food-centered hippo. As the group fights to survive the impossible, relationships form and shatter, and the hostile environment closes. Taut, tense, tightly constructed with playful nods to genre conventions and highly impactful practical effects. This is a hugely enjoyable, heart-pounding survival thriller that is made to be watched with a raucous midnight audience. And that's from Emma Boa. So this one is interesting because I meant to check with the guys at the festival about this, but this is listed as a world premiere. But it came out in America back in June, and it's available to watch digitally, like with in America or with an American account. So I'm not sure what the criteria for that for it being a world premiere is. But anyway, that's by the by. Um, I actually kind of enjoyed this one. It's not reinventing the wheel. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It is Jaws, but with a hippo, and it's not as good as Jaws. But I don't think anyone, including the director, would pretend that it is. But it does what it says on the tin. It's Jaws with a hippo. It's a perfectly serviceable creature feature. There are practical shots in this. They did build. I don't think they built a full size hippo, but they built a full size hippo head, which you can tell in a couple of shots. And I mean that as a compliment. So it was nice to see that it wasn't fully CGI. Like there's one shot in particular where the camera's in medium close up on one of the characters, and then it kind of pans to the left. The hippo head rears out, and you're like, that's real. Like you can feel the weight and the impression of the practical hippo head. So I really like that. In my interview with the director James Nunn, we kind of talked about like the approach of practical versus CGI in some of his previous films. Like he has made a couple of creature features previous to this. He made one called Shark Bait, I think. He also wasn't the director, but he worked, I think, as a second unit director. He worked on the 47 Meters Down movies. So he's got experience with creature features and with shark type movies. And he talked about, you would normally have something on set knowing that you're going to paint over it with CGI. But with this one, they pushed to have some practical shots left in because, it looked that good. Some of the characters are at times more than a little cliched and kind of one note, but don't go. No one's going to seek this movie out expecting to see like high end character drama work. You go to a creature feature not for the characters, but for for the creature. I would probably give it 3 stars. I think a lot of people have given it slightly less. I enjoyed it. It does, like I said, it does what it says on the tin. One of my kids is a big creature feature fan, so I'll look forward to her favourite movie is Jaws. So I told her about this movie. It basically says it's Jaws with a hippo, and her reaction, like many people, is, "But hippos are like cute and cuddly." But then when you look online, they're not. Like I think this movie was kind of born. It was like a kind of. I think James, the director, briefly talked about this in the interview. The timing of this movie came about perfectly because there was all these videos on social media of like massive hippos barreling towards boats trying to like eat the boat, and they're huge and very, very scary. And he had the script for this in his back pocket when that was happening, and then the financiers approached him about it. Yeah, so a kind of a confluence of timing allowed this movie to happen. And they also managed to sneak in the Oscar Isaacs Hippo song over the credits, which I didn't get a chance to ask him about. You don't know the Oscar Isaacs Hippo song?
No.
Oh, okay. So like YouTube this after the stream, the Oscar Isaacs Hippo song. It's glorious. It's glorious. So yeah,
Okay.
Hippo, it's a perfectly fine creature feature. I enjoyed it. I did speak to James about the potential of a sequel and a franchise. He does have ideas. We'll see if that happens or not. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I would give it 3 stars. Perfectly serviceable creature feature. And that was Hippo. And again, confused as to the world premiere status of this. I might email the guys about that because I don't know if that's just a typo or not, because it came out in the States
I
June.
was gonna say, I feel like I heard about it
Yeah.
ages ago.
Like I remember reading about it in Empire magazine back in like
Yeah.
May or something like that, and it was just like a tiny wee blurb about what's, and it said no UK release date is planned. So maybe that's just a typo and it meant UK premiere or European premiere. But yeah, there you go. So that was Hippo. Let's see any other comments to jump through. Let's see, we have Gulshaw says, as you know, I'm an avid physical media collector. Got a 4K unboxing going up tomorrow. So if you're struggling to sleep, check it out. Nice. Let us know what that's for. Mythic Picnic, how we doing? Thanks for joining us. Says a Scottish creature feature would be fun. Surely we've had that already, have we not?
There'll be a Loch Ness one,
I
surely.
mean, there's the Ted Danson Loch Ness one from the mid-90s, which is not a creature feature. That's more of a soppy family romanticy drama movie. Um, I owned that on VHS. A Scottish creature feature. Do you know what? Not yet, but there is a movie currently in production called Midges. I don't know, which I am very excited to see. For those who
Killer
don't know,
midget.
midges are basically, how would you describe midges? Are they native to Scotland? They're tiny. Basically, think of like tiny, tiny, tiny mosquitoes. They're not deadly. They're not poisonous. But if you walk through, but in some during the summer, if you're near the water and it's a warm, humid, muggy type day, if you're on a hike or one of the walking trails, you need to wear a midgie mask, like a net over your face, because there's swarms of these tiny, tiny, tiny bugs, like mini mosquitoes, and they do bite. They're not. It's not like poisonous or mega painful, but there's so many of them, so irritating and annoying. So yeah, that's a Scottish creature feature that's currently in production. So shout out to Midges. Hope your shoot is going well. I think they might be. I think they might be finished the shoot and they're in post now. Yeah, there you go. So that's Midges, a Scottish creature feature. Um, Hungry Hippos, the movie. We're going to need a bigger toothbrush. I think they should have like. So yeah, obviously they've called it Hungry as a play on the Hungry Hippos like kids game. I think they should just. I think they should have just embraced that and full on called it the Hungry Hippo or Hungry Hippo.
Yeah. Or there should be like, there's got to be like little balls that they're trying to get,
Yeah.
surely.
But there we go. So that was. Let me bring that comment down. Any others? I think that's us for now. Right, we're getting there. I think we're past the halfway mark. Let's crack on. After Hungary, we have one that I didn't see. So this is Greg Araki's latest. I Want Your Sex, part of the Out of Competition strand. Stuck in a relationship, going nowhere with his girlfriend Minerva, Charlie XCX, and confused about his sexuality, frustrated and neurotic 20-something Elliot, played by Cooper Hoffman, finds himself suddenly at the sexual beck and call of his boss, dominating an ultra-confident art gallery boss Erica, played by Olivia Wilde. Is this a toxic relationship, or is there something deeper growing between these apparently very different people? Exploring generational differences, sexual politics, and queerness with his customary visual panache, fearlessness, and affection, iconic director Araki makes a welcome return to feature filmmaking with his hilarious and weirdly moving battle of the sexes. That wee blurb is from Paul Ridd. Sadly, I didn't see this one. I really wanted to because for the most part, I am a fan of Greg Araki. I think Mysterious Skin is phenomenal if you've not seen that. But yeah, I haven't seen this. You have. Sarah, take it away.
Well, I think, this is the first dud of the festival for me. This one
Oh,
really did not work for me, but I seem to be in the minority. I went into this film, I saw the teaser trailer, and I was like, okay, we've got a star-studded cast. Recognize Greg's name as director, and I watched Mysterious Skin for the first time this year, and I was like, whoa, blown away. Um, Went into this film fairly open-minded, and I think this film just really struggles in terms of its tone. It's got this kind of random editing that's almost like pop art, where it's got almost animation on top of the visuals to kind of enhance Cooper Hoffman's character's emotions in a scene, but it's so sporadic. It's like, what is the point? It's For me, it's just like a film about nepotism. We have Cooper Hoffman, Mason Gooding as like two of the main characters. I was like, we know why you're here. And it just feels like a bunch of LA kind of actors to me that all know each other and just got together to make this film about the art kind of middle class of it all. But I'm like, but you're all still part of the problem. You've all come from. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to say something about that sort of area of society, but I don't think you truly understand it. And then it does become this kind of very sort of sexual film where Cooper Hoffman kind of is trying to have this relationship with Olivia, who Wilde's character is very much up for it as well. And it seems to be not her first time. And it's pretty explicit, I would say. There are certain moments I was like, this is verging on some kind of adult film at certain points.
so
And I
not a
felt
Sunday
very
afternoon film with your gran.
no. Grandma does not want to see this one. Yeah, it's pretty full on. There's some certain scenes that are just like, this feels like it's going on a bit too long. It feels a bit awkward and kind of the awkwardness of what's happening on screen. Um, Considering I just saw Olivia Wilde in The Invite, which is probably one of my favourite films of the year, which I
Yes.
loved
Yes.
that film.
I love
This
that
is
film.
such a departure from that character, and obviously she's not directing this time. So yeah, I just felt Cooper Hoffman felt he's playing a not too dissimilar character from Licorice Pizza. This kind of needy, weeny little boy that's sort of pining after an older woman. I was like, same character in some ways.
I've not seen Licorice
Um,
Pizza, so that reference is lost on me.
yeah, it's not great. Charlie XCX, I think, is underused as well in this. She could have really. I've seen her in films and TV shows before, and she's great because she loves films.
Yeah.
That's normally a good thing.
Yeah. Did you see the
Johnny
random? What was the kind of the secret concert film that she made? What was it called again? Did you see that?
Yeah, what was that called? Was it just called Brat or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made during the Bratz tour. But no, I wanted to.
Yes.
I had like 3 different chances to see that at 3 different like press screening type advanced screening things, but I could not make it to any of them, so I've still not seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's actually a pretty talented actress, to be honest. But this one, I just don't think it was the one. But as I say, I seem to be in the minority. People were likening it to the likes of Pillion and Pillion and other like Baby Girl as well. Sort of 2 films that came out in the last sort of year.
Yeah, even though I've not seen Pillion, Baby Girl, or I Want Your Sex, just from reading the blurb there, I immediately did think that sounds similar to Baby Girl.
Yeah, I think Baby Girl does it better in terms of the kind of tension, because there is no tension here. It's like, yeah, they're both consenting to this kind of relationship, whereas it's a bit different in that kind of setting. And I think Pillion, again, it's a completely different world in terms of their dynamic anyway. It's not a business kind of setting. But yeah, for me, it just didn't work. I think it's too nepotism-y, it's too LA, it's too clean, I think. Coming off the back of watching Mysterious Skin for the first time this year, which feels gritty and unpleasant to watch, deliberately so, with the themes. I just can't believe it's the same director. I was just really blown away, but I've not seen any of his other films, so I can't really say anything else. But yeah, for me, it really just didn't work at all. But I'm in the minority, apparently.
So you didn't want I Want Your Sex?
No, I didn't. Not at 10 a.m.
There you go. So that's Sarah's thoughts on I Want Your Sex. I think if it wasn't for this, so you've got recognisable stars, you've got a director who does have a name. I was quite surprised to see this at the film festival, and I was keen to see it just based on the cast and the director. But yeah, from what you've said, I think you're saying that you're the only one who's not been loving it. The reviews I've seen have been very mixed. I think I've seen an equal number of 3 and 4 star reviews, and I've seen a good few 2-star reviews as well. I probably just, again, based on who's in it and the director, I will see it if I can.
Yeah.
But
have to make your own opinion.
It wouldn't be. It's not one that I'll be desperately seeking out. But I think I did want to see it at the festival. I couldn't make any of the screenings. I don't think they were sending out screeners for this one either. I think it's already. What was it? Was it just a UK premiere? Let me just scroll down.
I think so. Yeah, when I was looking at reviews, a lot of American people I followed already.
Yeah, so UK premiere. So it's been out elsewhere. It's been out in the States anyway. Yeah, there you go. That was Sarah's mini review for I Want Your Sex, Greg Araki's latest film. I don't think there's any comments to go through, so let's crack on with the next movie. Abandoned. You didn't see this one, didn't you? Not. I will crack on with this one. So I really enjoyed this one. Let me read the blurb first. Also, it's directed by Joby Stevens. Scroll down
Joby
here.
Stevens?
Joby Stevens. Joby, not Jobby, Joby.
Not Jobby, no.
I didn't make that joke in the interview, and I kind of wish I had. So part of the Midnight Madness strand, in an effort to recover their failing channel and friendship, 2 urban explorers delve deep into the forests of northern England, following a tip-off from a new subscriber. After crashing their drone, we've all done that, on top of an abandoned facility, they are compelled to venture deeper. Blending cinematic filmmaking with raw found footage intimacy, Joby Stevens' feature directorial debut effortlessly unsettles and scares in equal measures, permeating the screen with a quiet horror that lingers well after viewing. And that wee blurb is from Gavin. And it was presented by the Evolution of Horror. There you go. So, the first thing I'll say is I do have an interview with the director on the. Is it on the? No, I've not done that one yet, so that'll be on the channel, within a few days or maybe a week or so. My first thoughts on this were I was expecting it. I'll be 100% honest. I was expecting this to be pretty shit, but I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised and impressed with how kind of high end it looked and it felt. I think, as Gavin's little blurb there says, it mixes traditional cinematic format with the found footage format. As to how and why and when, I won't go into details there. That might be a little bit spoilery, but but it makes sense once you see the movie. How and when they kind of make that transition makes sense, and they do have the unspoken rules as to when and how and when they do that. I think the team behind this clearly have like a knowledge, a love, but most importantly, a respect for this type of genre. If you grew up playing like OG Resident Evil, OG Alone in the Dark, those type of games, it will immediately remind you of them in a big, bad, good way. Not reinventing the wheel with the genre, but it does very effectively what many movies with much bigger budgets and the benefit of recognizable IP have failed to do, and that is just make a movie that doesn't disrespect fans of that genre. It doesn't take them for granted. They know what fans of those games and those type of movies like, and they give them what they want, and they do it in a really effective way. Um, it's genuine. It felt like there was a genuineness about this, which I was really, really surprised to see. Like I said, keep coming back to like the filmmaking team just having a knowledge of the genre, a love of the genre, but also like a respect for it. I think I've we're all looking forward to Zach Cregger's Resident Evil movie that's coming out. Um, but depending on how that lands, um, my first thought was give these guys a big budget and give them like a Resident Evil style IP. But then I thought, actually, I mean, yeah, do that if that's an option. But they did go quite a long way to building the lore of their own story, of their like abandoned universe, lack of a better phrase. So give them a big budget and let them, or a bigger budget, and let them roll with that, because I would happily see that in the cinema, like an abandoned universe, because I don't think there's a lot to see here. My only criticism of it is it felt too short. Like I think it clocks in at like 79, 88 minutes or something like that. Not that movies can't be that length, but it felt like the third act. I felt like it rushed. Once the third act got going, it felt like it rushed to an ending, and I was like, oh, I kind of wanted like an extra 10 or 15 minutes of what was happening here. I imagine that was a budgetary constraint. I won't say why, because that's a bit of a spoiler as to what's on screen. But yeah, I was massively surprised with this one and was really impressed with it. And I think from speaking to other people as well, I think it's a lot of people have had a similar reaction to it. I wasn't planning on seeing this one because the sit down interviews for the team behind this movie were on one of the days that I couldn't make it in. So immediately that was like, well, that's not that I can't prioritize that movie because I'm not going to be there that day. But they actually reached out to me and were wanting to we're keen to do an interview, so we managed to put something together for one of the other days. And I'm glad they did, because yeah, I'd heard good things about the movie, hadn't seen it, thought, oh well, that's you can't see everything at the festival, but I'm really glad, really glad, and definitely keen to see what they do next. There we go. So
Yeah, I saw the. Sorry.
that was Abandoned, directed by Joby Stevens, part of the Midnight Madness strand. Don't think there's any other quotes. Kelsey is just saying, Mustache, we'll watch the rest on the catch up. Thank you for sharing and the new movie recommendations. Stay safe and have a good weekend. Thanks very much for tuning in, and we are glad to have converted someone to.
Oh yeah.
What was the movie? Fuck, forgot.
Captain Fantastic.
Oh, I just swore. Sorry, YouTube. Captain Fantastic. Yes, glad to have converted someone on to that. Right, this one is all you, Sarah. We've got The Education of Jane Cumming. Didn't see this one. I'm annoyed that I didn't. I had a sit down, like an off camera chat with the team behind it because we were in the same kind
Mm.
of waiting room for a good half an hour. And that made me want to see the movie even more, but sadly, it was one that I couldn't see. So I'll read the blurb and then you can give us your mini review, Sarah. Part of the out competition Strand. In 19th century Edinburgh, two women run a girls' boarding school, trying to build an independent life in a world with little room for women outside convention. When a wealthy grandmother enrolls her granddaughters, including 15-year-old Jane Cumming, and the school's fragile balance begins to shift. Jane's isolation, the teacher's concern for and the pressures of respectability soon lead to an accusation that changes all their lives. Based on true events, Sophie Heideman's beautifully made period drama explores prejudice, reputation, cost of surviving in a strict and unforgiving society. That blurb is from Anita Saidu. Apologies, Anita, if that's not how you say your last name. Anita Saidu? Anita. That was from Anita. Sarah, thoughts on The Education of Jane Cumming?
This was my last film of the festival, and I saw it in the film house, a public screening, and yeah, again, another thing where I just went in fairly blind. I knew it was a period drama. I knew it was directed by women, starred women, about women's education. I was like, great, let's have a watch. And then it comes up at the beginning, this is about true events. I was like, oh no, it's not going to end well. But yeah, this is just a beautifully shot period drama, set again in Scotland, um, with some amazing actors at the forefront again, who I've personally not seen before. I think some people recognised one of the actresses, something else. I think one of them's Irish as well, who's done stuff with Cillian Murphy as well. So amazing performances, amazing child actors as well in this film. We have a sort of very small group of girls who are at this house who are get their education from these women, and one of the faces is one of the girls from After Sun. Um, she's just grown up, so she's one of the actresses, and that's great to see. But yeah, my goodness, this is just devastatingly beautiful. It kind of takes a turn in its narrative so effortlessly. You think you're following this character, this journey, and then this kind of accusation, as you mentioned, Jim, this kind of absolutely flips everything up in this school dynamic. And I don't even know if I want to say what happens because I didn't know what happens, and it just kind of took me by like like it just completely swept me away. The kind of story it creates, this, let's say, yearning between certain characters that is so well done. If you're a fan of a period drama, you love your yearning in those films and TV shows, you're gonna love this. Yeah, it's just, oh gosh, I cried multiple times. The Last Resort, yeah, was the first cry. This film, I cried about 4 times during it. Happy emotions, a bit more sad emotions, everything. Yeah, really, really love this one. And there are some familiar faces in it. You do have Fiona Shaw as well playing this kind of um sort of the villainous character in this, grandmother role in this. Yeah, it's just the costumes, the setting, the cinematography. Though the director was originally Swiss, she used a lot of Scottish crew, and I think that really, really helps. Yeah, it's just you have to just sit with it and go with it and follow these characters and these journeys. You'll want to sort of rage at some of the characters' actions, like how can you do that? That is so selfish. And the fact that I felt that emotion in that and crying as well was just a testament to the film. And then yeah, obviously because it's based on true events, you get the kind of facts at the end, the kind of fade to black, and you get all the kind of information that they base this film upon. And they clearly have done their research about the women involved in this film.
Right.
And I, to my ignorance, didn't know anything about this. I think some people did in the screening, some people hadn't known anything about these people. Yeah, so I definitely learned a lot about kind of women's history, especially in Scotland at that point. But yeah, I love it. I loved it so, so much. And I wish I could have spoken with the director because I felt like I had so many questions I could have asked her.
Oh, did you not get a chance? No.
No, no,
No,
didn't
I
work
didn't.
out.
Likewise, I think the day that they were doing their sit downs, I don't think I was available. But then I randomly, they were back in that kind of like area on a different day when I was booked in for doing other ones, and I didn't realize who they were until like 5, 10 minutes, and it's just kind of like the general group chat, and I was like, and then one of the actors from a different movie just asked them who they were and if they were here with the film, and they were like, oh yeah, you were here with I think it was the director and writer, I think, and I was like, oh hello, I haven't seen the film but I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sounds like pretty high praise from you. If you were to log it on Letterboxd, what would you give it?
Oh, this was 4 stars. Again, really, really great film. Not perfect, but absolutely amazing film. Out this.
Good stuff. So that was The Education of Jane Cumming. I think that might, I'm sure I read that is getting a limited release. I
I
will.
think Conic are picking it up.
Yes, Conic.
Same with
I saw it on Conic's Instagram.
Extrography.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll get, in Scotland, you'll probably see that in going like filmers in Edinburgh based on Conic's previous kind of releases. So there you go. High praise for The Education of Jane Cumming. Right, let's crack on. Next movie up. Well, this was the closing gala festival film. You didn't see this one, I think, Sarah?
No.
Okay, okay. This one. So this was the closing film of the festival. Louise Lockwood's debut theatrical documentary is a compelling, sensitive portrait of Belinda Odenyo, Kenyan Scottish musician, singer, and songwriter, who performed under the stage name Heir of the Cursed and worked across Scotland's theatre and poetry community. After her acclaimed performance at the Scottish Album of the Year Awards in 2021, Belle took her own, leaving behind raw, intimate video diaries and a hard drive full of original songs of great beauty. This stirring, beautifully composed film documents the journey of her sister and friends took to release her work posthumously, including her thoughtful reflections on mental health, racism, and the diaspora experience, creating a warm, insightful, deeply moving ode to a complex, intelligent, profoundly talented from. So I did see this one, not at the public screenings, but I saw one. I saw the press screening. I missed the first 5 minutes, so I don't know what happened in the first 5 minutes. But this was quite a hard hitting movie. I went into it not having read that blurb, so I didn't actually know until as the movie was going on. I was like, I think she's dead. I think she's took her own life. But I didn't know that because I didn't read the blurb and I missed it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I don't know if they say that at the start. So it was interesting to watch the movie and try and kind of piece together. I think I know where this is going. And obviously they're talking as the interviewees, the family and friends, they obviously don't get to the sad fact that she took her own life until towards the end. So it was an interesting experience watching it, not fully knowing if that is how the story ended, and sadly it is. Yeah, this is, I mean, a documentary about suicide is understandably quite hard hitting, quite tough to watch at times. It's hard not to feel connected emotionally to the sister and the friends and the family, because with the best will in the world, the best acting in the world, no one can replicate just the pure raw emotion of one talking about someone lost like that. I wasn't aware of Belinda, I'm sorry, Beldina specifically, but something that took me by surprise massively was the areas that she stayed and grew up in. Not only was it Glasgow, where I live and where I grew up, but it was literally the streets that I grew up on. Like grew up in parts in her late teens and I think early 20s in an area called Govan Hill in Glasgow in the kind of mid late 90s or the early 90s, and that's literally where I grew up. Like when they showed those streets, Victoria Road, areas in Govan Hill, Queen's Park, the Tenement Sessions, which is a YouTube series of like showcasing music and Scottish local Glasgow musicians. I was completely taken aback, and it hit me in a different way because I literally grew up on those streets, but like 10 years prior. So it was very odd but very moving to see that and feel connected to that, even though it's a story I don't know about a person, about a musician I had no knowledge of. but everything that she was saying about the areas that she lived and worked, performed, existed in, like I literally walked those streets. So that was, you know, that was an odd thing that I wasn't expecting. There's an interesting structure to the documentary. They have track listings from from the album that was released posthumously. So that kind of almost felt like DVD chapters. And there's a certain theme of physical media throughout the movie, and that like the sister talks about how she doesn't she'd so Bildina had all these songs like written and recorded but never released, so they're on her laptop on hard drives essentially. And there's a really poignant moment in the documentary where the sister talks about how she doesn't want she doesn't want Bildina's work to just exist on a hard drive. Like she wants them to exist in a physical form so that people can hold, touch, feel the music. I was like, and I know that's kind of like that's in one sense it's similar to like my hope, a lot of people's like love for physical media, but it gives it a very poignant but almost otherworldly feeling as to the importance of that, because this person sadly took their own life. They were obviously insanely talented, but clearly troubled as well, and they just her art only existed as ones and zeros. And so the sister, the documentary is in huge part about making sure that her work exists in the real world as opposed to just on a hard drive. And that element really hit home with me, and I think from other people from chatting to them after the screening as well. Um, the sister talks about monetizing grief and how I think there's a quote from Bildina as well about sharing music as a form of love. And I'm not sure which contributor said that, or if that was one of the existing video diaries from Bildina, but that really hit home as well. Moving, heartbreaking, but like oddly life affirming at times. It's one of those movies where I'm glad I watched it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I don't think I'll ever want to watch it again because it's very raw. And it was and we talked about how The Incomer was very on brand as being the opening film for the Edinburgh Film Festival. You could say the same about this one, in that it's a story about it's a Scottish story, but it's a documentary about someone who took their own life. So it's a very downbeat way into the festival. But I would imagine that wouldn't have been that wouldn't have been a decision from the guys that was taken lightly. So yeah, that was Bale. That was the closing film of the festival. Did you hear any chat from anyone about this while you were there?
No, I don't think I saw people go to the screening. I think um, most people I know were gone by that point for the festival, which is a shame because obviously this kind of story has not been heard, seen. But no, I did see all the stuff like the images coming out of the closing night as well. So there as well, seemed like a really special send off really for the festival.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, it's not as I don't know. So maybe that was my kind of prejudgment of it. Well, I don't know them, but you're clearly saying you've got something out of it at least, regardless of not knowing the artist.
Yeah, again, it's one of those ones that I don't. So it being about a Scottish person, and I'm Scottish, so there's that connection. But just I was so surprised and shocked, like not only the country that I grew up in, not only the city that I grew up in, but like literally the suburb and literally the streets that I grew up in. So
Mm.
I think a lot of Glasgow people, if you grew up in the south side of Glasgow in the 90s and then maybe the 80s, or maybe to a certain extent the noughties, you'll recognise that world instantly. And I think there's this person that existed in that world that was making this music that sadly took their own life, and now their sister and her friends are this this documentary's been made. It's about it's about the person, but it's also about her sister and her family preserving her work so that it lives on. Yeah, again, really tough watch. I'm glad I watched it. It's not something I'll probably watch again, just purely based on the rawness and the tough to watch subject matter. But yeah, so that was Bale, which was the closing gala film at the festival. So I think we're just down to our last two. This one I don't think is on your list because I forgot to add it. I've literally just remembered about it. This is Northbound. Did you see Northbound?
No, it was a decision I made. I can't remember another film, and I was like, I'm gonna go watch this other film instead.
Ah. Ooh, what did you go and see instead?
I think it might have been the last resort actually,
Ah,
as the
okay,
press
okay.
screenings.
Right.
So I am happy that I saw that.
From what you've said, I think you made the right call. Spoilers for my
Ooh.
thoughts on the movie. So let me read the wee blurb here. So Northbound, directed by William Schooler, part of the out of competition strand. Frustrated with living out his final days in a nursing home, elderly rogue Bruce Dern, recruits his uptight grandson, Kevin, played by Hunter Parrish, to break him out. Together, the pair head north to Canada, picking up an enigmatic stranger, a Julia Fox, along the way. Acidly funny, unpredictable, and ultimately very moving, this sharply directed and superbly acted film from director William Schooler is a showcase for Bruce Dern's magnetic screen presence, feeling for a character who positively bursts off the screen, featuring a final performance from the legendary actor Graham Greene, as well as superb supporting turns from Joanna Cassidy and Dylan Baker. And that wee blurb was from Paul Ridd. So, this one, yeah, this is the Bruce Dern show. There's no two ways about it. It is Bruce Dern firing on all cylinders. He is brilliant in this movie. The only problem is it's not just about Bruce Dern. It's about the son, the grandson, and the random hitchhiker that they pick up as well. And a lot of focus is put on the grandson and the random hitchhiker and their subplot slash side plot. Without going into too many spoilers, just feels like it was shoehorned in. Like the first third of this movie is great. It sets up the relationship between Bruce Dern, his grandson, and to a lesser extent the son, the kind of the middle generation, who's the dad, grandson's dad, Dylan Baker. Dylan Baker is Bruce Dern's son, if that makes sense. So the three generations, you've got Bruce Dern as the granddad, Dylan Baker as the dad, and Hunter Parrish as the grandson. If that gives you an idea
Mm.
of the kind of the generations that are happening there. So the first third is brilliant. It's it sets up the granddad, Bruce Dern, being chaotic and crazy, and kind of like Al Pacino sent a woman just at a certain age, not giving an F, and just doing what he wants to do, and the kind of the slightly uptight grandson having to deal with him and drive him cross country and do X, Y, and Z, and Dylan Baker on the phone because he's back home in Canada or whatever it is, because the family runs a whiskey distillery. They own a whiskey distillery that may or may not be sold, and that may or may not be what certain generations want to do. If the movie had focused on them in that dynamic, I think I would have had a much better time with it. But the subplot side quest with the hitchhiker just couldn't have almost took me out of the movie. As mentioned there, Paul's blurb, Graham Greene's last performance. He's not in it a lot. He's in maybe 2 or 3 scenes. He's in it for like 5 or 10 minutes, but he's always dependable, and he does what he does. It looks beautiful. Like it goes from like the flats of Middle America, I think Middle America, to like the Great White North mountains of Canada. So I think I took a note. Peter Menzies Jr. is the cinematographer, so shout out to him because it does look beautiful. But like I said, I would have really enjoyed this more if they had focused on the family dynamic, those relationships, and not what I felt was the shoehorned in side subplot with the hitchhiker and the love as a love interest for the grandson. Yeah, that just felt a little bit off. I did have a sit down chat with the director. Bruce Dern was actually supposed to be at the festival, but he couldn't make it over. I think he had the last minute work commitment schedule changes. So I do have a sit down chat with the director, William Schooler. That'll be on the channel fairly soon as well. But much like Borges and Me, like this is fairly similar to Borges and Me in terms of tone, in terms of vibe, and in terms of the fact that it's a perfectly fine Sunday afternoon. Like, yes, you could watch this with your gran, probably. Um, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not amazing. It's the Bruce Dern show. Like if you're a Bruce Dern fan and you've been wanting to see him in a lead role and haven't seen him for some time, then you will be very pleased with this movie. I just wanted more of that. And that was my general take. And I think when I spoke to people immediately after the screening, um, shout out to Cinephile Mike as well, because I think we had a conversation immediately after the movie, and both had the same thought about the whole, yeah, the hitchhiker subplot wasn't needed. But that was your thoughts. Did you hear any chat about this when you were there?
Didn't hear anything. I think people more miffed that he wasn't there in person
Yeah.
for the Q&A thing.
I
Yeah,
think he still did. He still come in. I think he still came in over Zoom. I think, didn't he?
they did a Zoom call, I think, in the end. To be honest, I don't think I've seen many Bruce Dern films. Like, I haven't seen Nebraska, which I know people talked about years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
but I just don't think I've seen many of his films, so I don't really know if he's got a certain style or genre that he leans to. It wasn't really on my radar, to be honest. I would have seen it if it was like maybe there was nothing else to watch that I was bothered about.
yeah,
But yeah, by the sounds of it, it's probably like maybe if it's on TV, I might watch.
yeah. I think again, it's the Bruce Dern show. It just wasn't enough of the Bruce Dern show.
Mm.
That'd be my take on it. However, I think someone in the comments has a different opinion on it. We've got what Alfredoistic. I love Northbound. It was very entertaining and touching, especially knowing it's based on true events about William's father before his death. As we talked about that with in the interview. William Schooler, the director, who was actually born in Glasgow, but I think he moved to North America when he was fairly young. But that was cool too, because I'm a Glasgow boy. He was born in Glasgow, so there was that kind of connection. Um, but nobody is talking about this, and I just found out. I absolutely cannot believe. For those who do not know, Bruce Dern's daughter is Laura Dern. Um, yeah, I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be alone on that island, mate. She was in Edinburgh that exact same day, posting a
She
photo.
was.
I did not know that.
I
Oh,
saw it on Instagram. She was at the Fringe Festival. I was like,
if I'd
why have you
known,
not been invited?
I mean, Jurassic Park is my all-time favorite movie. If I'd known Laura Dern was in Edinburgh at the same time I was in Edinburgh, I would have 100% been stalking her. um, didn't even mention her father or the movie at all. It's very strange not to support her own father when she was right there. What kind of daughter is that? I mean, we don't
We
know
don't know.
the circumstances about that at all. I feel sorry for William Schooler, the Scottish director who did this movie. He doesn't deserve this, especially since on the very day of the premiere, he went to Arthur's Seat and left his father's ashes in Edinburgh. I think the movie is not that bad at all. Yeah, he talked about that. He talked about wanting to bring because his dad was from Scotland, Glasgow, I think the Gorbals, and south side of Glasgow. I think he mentioned again not too far from where I grew up, and the director William, he did talk about that and the personal nature of it, bringing his father's ashes. So the story behind the movie is very moving as well. The movie just didn't click that well for me, sadly. But that's just one person's opinion. I'm not sure. I think other than myself and Cinephile Mike, when we spoke immediately after the screening, I don't know what the general consensus is with this one. It feels, which is odd considering it's Bruce Dern. He was and he was supposed to be here at the festival. Maybe there was just a kind of collective letdown sigh because he couldn't make it, so people maybe didn't quite seek it out as much as they might have if he had made it over for the screening. But yeah, but there you go. That was Northbound, and I believe that takes us to the last film of our collective reviews, which was the film that won the Edinburgh Film Festival. I say won the Edinburgh Film. It won the what's the Sean Connery filmmaking prize? That was Skintown. So I'll read the wee blurb and then we'll both have a chat about this. Skintown, directed by Kieran G. Walsh, starring Chris Wally, and Jack Rowan. Set in Northern Ireland in 1994 during the IRA ceasefire, best friends Vinny and Jonty party with friends, cut deals, and make plans to escape small town life. The uncertainty and instability of the time conspire against them, and Kieran J. Walsh's vivid portrait of disenfranchised youth, 90s rave culture, and a turbulent period in recent Irish history, balancing humour, wit, and pathos, and bolstered by great performances from a terrific cast, including Jack Rowan, Chris Wally. Is it Wally or Wally? Wally? We'll go with Wally.
No.
Apologies, Chris.
Wally's.
Chris Wally, Jamie Lee O'Donnell, and Hope Hope Ikpoku Hope Ikpoku Jr. Mate, Hope and Chris, I'm very sorry. I'm sure I'm butchering your names. And a killer 90s soundtrack featuring Prodigy, Elastica, Happy Mondays, Jeff Mills, and Carl Cox. This is a propulsive, poignant period piece. That's definitely a propulsive, poignant period piece. Peter Piper picked a pot of pickled peppers. And that wee blurb is from Emma Boa. So I'm making light of the of the blurb there, but this movie, I really enjoyed it. Sarah, take it away first.
Yeah, I had a similar experience as you had with Belle. I was running from an interview with Maria from The Last Resort. My screen was at 11. I'm 10 minutes late. Got into the screen, 15 minutes. Just jumped into the film. I was like, I have no clue what's happening. So again, I kind of missed a little bit of the setup of the world. So I've kind of just thrown into the film. Didn't know much about it. Again, it was a last minute addition to my film watching because people who had seen it previous days said, really love this film. You need to go and watch it. Okay, cool. I've got time. And yeah, I loved the kind of overall feeling of this 90s film looking at Northern Ireland, sort of in the lead up to the sort of steps towards peace. I did recognise the guy Chris Wally from the Young Offenders, which was a BBC iPlayer show. So I'd seen a few clips from that sort of comedic show. So I knew he could be funny. So he definitely played his part as the kind of best friend in this. Recognised obviously Jamie from Derry Girls, and I think one of the pub landladies, she was also from Derry Girls.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see some Irish faces on screen again. But otherwise, yeah, an unknown cast. I just went along with the journey. It perfectly fit the vibe of the 90s kind of aesthetic, from the costumes to the music. It was all there. The cars, the buses, like that seemed to be really accurate. From Q&As that I was in with people who are from Ireland said that they got it on point. Yeah, it feels very much like films I've seen before, set around that time. You ever seen the film like Spike Island, Human Traffic, even Kneecap more recently? It's got those kind of, these things are going to happen in one night or a few days, but this is the kind of journey we're going on, and we're going to have the time of our lives, but also we're up against it, being chased, or there's some kind of time constraint or repercussions if they don't do this thing at the same time. So
Yeah.
I think it balances that really well, whilst also these characters sort of understanding who they are, and without going to sort of big spoilers, but there's this kind of absolute change of tone and pace. Something happens in the film which I didn't expect. I was like, checking my watch, I was like, this all feels a bit too good and a bit too early. And then we get this kind of shift in the narrative, and it kind of changes, and you get this kind of reminder of what was really happening at the time, sort of historically.
Yeah.
And it just, completely changes in that moment, which I think some people might like, might not like, but I really thought it was impactful, and otherwise it could have felt cliched to the films I've already mentioned.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't think, I think they earned it. I don't think it's cliched. I think they absolutely earned the bit that you're talking about that we won't mention.
Yes, yeah. You have to see the film to sort of understand it.
Yeah.
And I think it winning the award and enough people talking about it already, I think, is kind of hopefully testament to people to go and watch this film. But yeah, really great performances. Really impressed, especially by Jack, who plays Vinny, who isn't Irish.
Yep. That's literally the first thing on my notes, is that he's not Irish. I think I've got in my interview with the director, which is on the YouTube channel. I think he talked about that, and I'm sure he mentioned that Jack's dad was from Northern Ireland.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not misremembering that. So
he's got that connection, but still,
yeah,
and
but
he
it
started
was
speaking like a geezer from London. I was like,
it's just like,
God,
yeah,
really good dialect coach, because I think I've normally got quite an ear to that, but especially that one.
I think especially for Scottish and Irish accents, I think you spot a bad Scottish accent or a bad Irish accent right away. Like, there's no middle ground. You either nail it or it's terrible. And Jack Rowan absolutely nailed it. The fact that he's not from Northern Ireland is astounding, because I mean, not to focus too much on his accent, but bloody hell, what a great accent. You mentioned that you missed the first 10 minutes or so. I think from memory the first 10 minutes is kind of like almost like a stock footage newsroom montage of the Troubles, with a bit of a voiceover from Jack's character. So that's what the opening 10 minutes is. So
Right.
as long as you're aware of the troubles, in Northern Ireland, up to the point of the mid 90s, that you won't have missed anything. But what
Yeah.
was interesting was one of the things I really liked about that, in that kind of opening voiceover, Jack's character, uh, Vinny, he talks about the Catholics and the Protestants and one generation of people thinking a certain way, and then I can't remember the exact line, but and then he says, then there's me and everyone like me who just don't give a you know, and it was interesting to see the it's very subtle, but like they show the area and they show obviously soldiers and whatnot. There is the the troubles are right there in everyday life, but they show things like there's kids pretending that the sound of like workies using a pneumatic drill, like school age kids, like 10-year-old kids pretending that that noise of a pneumatic drill of a guy fixing the road is machine gun fire, and they're just pretending to be shot. And you think it's a very subtle but very poignant piece of visual filmmaking to kind of get across the point of this is just everyday life. And kids in the 90s or in the 80s who, like, if you're 10 years old in, what did it say, 1994? If you're 10 years old in 1994, you haven't you haven't known a time where this isn't going on in Belfast in Northern Ireland. So that's just part of your life. And it was a really, and there's I can't there's from memory there's at least three or four throwaway, not throwaway, but like blink and you'll miss it moments like that where you're like, that's just everyday life for people there. Let me quickly check my notes and what I'd said for this movie. So yeah, some banging needle drops, as it said in the blurb there. Very unsubtle, matter of fact type performances. Again, I loved how it showed the Belfast and Northern Ireland and the area of that time for what it was from the point of view of the people living that. There's a line in the movie that I think when he says where it's Groundhog Day, the Northern Irish edition, because it's just every day, it's the same thing. It's similar vibes. Well, I don't want to say vibes, but it does share obviously context with Dairy Girls, but Dairy Girls is very much, it's not a sitcom, but it is situational comedy.
Yeah.
Whereas this isn't that. This is more. It's Go meets Dairy Girls. I don't know if you saw the movie Go, Doug Lyman's
I've
movie.
not, but I've heard enough about it.
It's good. It's good. So it's Groundhog Day meets Go meets Dairy Girls. Um, and the pace, like you said, the pace does slow a little bit in the third act, and there's a shift, but I think they earned that shift, and they earned the kind of the slowed down tone and the surrealism almost of that. And I don't think we can talk about this without talking about Michael Smiley as Tony Pepperoni, one of the best character names I think I've heard
So good.
in a long time. And Kieran, the director, was telling me that so it's based on a novel by, I should have taken a note of this. Apologies, I can't remember the name of the author of the novel, but I think he wrote the screenplay as well. And that's a true story, like working in that Italian / Chinese restaurant, chopping ribs in the back. That's a true story. Also, in my interview with the director Kieran, he talks about alternative endings that they went through that were never actually filmed, but they were written, and some of them are absolutely bonkers. I don't know if any of them are spoilery, but they're on the interview, which is on the channel just now. So they were never filmed, but they were written, and some of the alternative endings do sound very wild. But yeah, I can see why this one of the 10 films that were in competition. I can see why this one. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite of the festival, but it was a tough call. It was a tough
Mm.
call between this and Capsized, and honestly, with an honourable mention to Abandoned. But
Wow.
in terms of my overall favorite, it was a very very close race between this one, between Skintown and Capsized. I will give it to Skintown though, not just because they won. Like I had decided that was my number one before it won.
Sure, sure.
I'm just going with the flow of everyone, keeping everyone happy. But yeah, that was Skintown. I think I liked it. Sorry, I know I liked it. I think you liked it, and
Yeah.
obviously it won the award, so the audience liked it as well. Um, what was your thoughts on? Did you see it in a public? You said you saw it in a public screening, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was the
Wasn't too busy.
yeah
It
what
was like an
what was the
11 a.m.
vibe?
screening. I think again, people were laughing at the right moments, and there's a lot of Irish people in the screening as well, so I think they clearly kind of understood it and related to it. A bit like how you felt with Belle. I think they're like, "Oh, well, I know those areas. I grew up in that kind of, um, culture and time."
Yeah.
So, but no, it was a good response, I think, out the film. And again, the director, Kieran, came out, and as well as Jack as well. And Jack was wearing one of the same jumpers that he wore in the film. He was wearing, like, the blue and the stripes.
Brilliant.
He's like, "I didn't even think about it." I was like, you knew that you were wearing the jumper from the film." But, yeah, I think it was really well received, my screening. Yeah, I need to watch it again. I think just even though that setup, I think could really help maybe push it even to like a little half star above, just that more setup. But
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. And I think when I give a shout out to, and again, apologies for terribly pronouncing the names. Jamie Lee O'Donnell, that's an easy one
mhm.
to pronounce. Who obviously is probably most famous for Dairy Girls. She's a supporting character in this. Not in it that is she in it that much? She's not. She's
Mm,
one of the supporting
not
actors,
really.
and Hope Poco Jr. as well. Uh,
Yeah.
it's one. It's such a what's the word? I keep coming back to like they feel very real. Like these characters and these performances, they feel very real. Like it feels like I'm watching this and I'm like, yeah, I buy that you guys are these people. Um, and then again to take it back to us gushing over Jack's accent work, to think that not only is he not that character, but he's not even Irish.
Yeah.
You just think
Yeah.
it's so it's yeah. I really hope that this does get a cinema release. I think a lot of people will enjoy it. Something that I think that I don't think I had time in the interview to chat with Kieran about this, but I've spoke with like family and friends about it. It's interesting to see or hear or even remember. Sorry, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and so what was going on Northern Ireland and what was going on in Northern Ireland was obviously happening at that time. I don't really have that much of a recollection of it. Like it was on the news, but it felt like it was almost hidden or not focused on as much. Now, I don't want to get overly political about like, what the different broadcasters were doing and the different slant that was put on things. Um, but it was really interesting to see, like, from watching Dairy Girls and loving that for the comedy value, but also, there's some really poignant moments in that, especially, especially the final episode with the Good Friday Agreement. And then a movie like this, where it shows you what's happening as well. There's obviously, there's been movies that take place during the Troubles, and I'm sure there will be, as in the future. But as an adult now, looking back at my time as a child in the 80s and 90s, and remembering the how it was portrayed as how to say this without offending, how it was portrayed is perhaps not the reality of the story,
Yes.
which as an adult now is really interesting to look back on and try and recollect what did I see? What was kind of in the general public consciousness, like as a teenager in the mid '90s? What was shown to us in Scotland, or what was happening in Northern Ireland? And Kieran, I kind of briefly spoke with Kieran about that, and he did talk about the goal for this was to show, especially in that opening montage that you missed. The goal was to was to show a worldwide audience what was happening, and not just from the point of view of one broadcaster, for lack of a better incendiary phrase. But yeah, um, let's rein it back in from the politics of it. This is a good movie, and it is well worth your time. And that takes us to the end of our films. That's not bad. We managed to get through 16 films in a little over 2 hours. I think it was 16 or maybe 17. Before we wrap things up, Sarah, tell us about your overall experience of Edinburgh. Was this the first time at the Edinburgh Film Festival?
It was my first time at the Edinburgh Film Festival. I've been to Glasgow before.
Oh
Loved
yeah,
that
because
one.
I meant to say this in our intro, but we first met at the Glasgow Film Festival last year in 2025, which was
Yes.
my first time at a film
There we go.
festival. Covering a film festival from the kind of the film journal side of things. So yes, we first connected back at the Glasgow Film Festival 2025, and this is your first time at the Edinburgh Film Festival. What was your thoughts on that, and from the kind of freelance independent film fan press journalist point of view?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of setup of this festival. It did feel similar to Glasgow in many ways in terms of the actual venues they use, because I felt like I was in the Cineworld for most of my screenings because I just ended up seeing a lot more public. I think just with the days that I went, I was seeing a lot more public screenings, and that's similar to Glasgow. They had a lot of their press and public in Cineworld as well. Yeah,
Which is now an Omniplex.
oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Well, I'm glad they're still using it for some kind of
Yeah,
cinema,
yeah,
at least.
still a cinema, it's now an Omniplex.
Yeah.
I don't know if GFFF Glasgow will go back to using that next year. They couldn't use it this year
Ooh,
because it was shut down
yeah.
while it changed from a Cineworld to an
Interesting.
Omniplex. But hopefully, I mean, if they, and saying that this year at Glasgow, it didn't feel like they were lacking anything. But yeah, Glasgow
Was it
2020.
all at GFT?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So
all the screenings
all the
then?
press screenings were at the GFT, and
Wow.
it didn't feel like there was a lack of availability or a lack of press screenings this year, even though everything was at the GFT. But you know, I think having the option of the not the Cineworld, the
Yeah.
Omniplex, which used to be Cineworld, I think having the option would be a good thing. But who knows what the behind the scenes kind of businessy logistics are of that.
Mm.
Sorry. Anyway, so back to you and Edinburgh.
Yeah, I think it's just got the history. It's just been such a renowned kind of film festival I've wanted to go to for ages, and I've been to Edinburgh before as a place, but I've never done the film festival. So I was glad I came to it. I mean, I'm curious to see what they do next year with the kind of 80th anniversary. Maybe they'll do something bigger. But yeah, I'm glad I came. I think it was a great experience. I met so many people that I've known online. Some people I've met before, some people I've never met in person. I just started chatting to people sat next to me. So it felt like it was a really nice kind of community feel. People who were filmmakers as well, not just press. I just started chatting to someone, directors, and they've sent me like their films that I can watch on like Vimeo and stuff. I was like, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, it just felt like a really good kind of space. I wish I saw more things in the Cameo. I think I only saw Extrography and Cameo. I'd have liked to have been back more in that cinema, but it seemed to be more for the premieres, really. Um, but yeah, no, I think 10 films at my first Edinburgh International Film Festival was pretty strong without getting full kind of
Yeah,
mushy brain.
yeah. Yeah, because you
Yeah,
can. It's even though I'm very still, it's only my second year doing this. You can take on too much. I think last year at the Edinburgh Film Festival, I took on too much. Like I think I
yeah,
saw 16 or 17 films last year and twice as many interviews. It was just that was almost given that this is a hobby. It
yeah,
was was it was too much too soon. I think so.
yeah.
I deliberately clawed it back this year and made a point. I was like, I'm going to see. I'm aim for 10 movies, and I think 6 or 8 interviews. I ended up doing ended up seeing more than 10 and doing more than 6 or 8 interviews. But it was definitely more manageable than last year. But again, last year was the first
Mm,
year doing this, so I didn't know what to
yeah.
expect. I just thought,
Yeah, you just go full throttle
yeah, I was just
first
like,
year and then you learn.
I'll interview anyone who wants to talk about the movie, but then that means you have to watch every movie of the people you're
Yes.
talking to, or ideally you do want to, and it's okay. I think it's okay to have a 60-second red carpet chat for a movie that you've not seen, but to have a sit down 20-minute interview for a movie you've not seen, that can be
Risky.
that can be risky. That can be risky. I ended up doing that for a couple though, and
Oh,
it turned out okay. I think those interviews.
nobody knew.
I haven't published those interviews yet, so we'll see. We'll see how well it
Spot
went.
them.
Yeah, you'll spot them. But yeah, and I think ironically, even though as I said, we met at last year's Glasgow Film Festival, and even though we were both at this year's Edinburgh Film Festival, we never crossed paths
Nope.
one bit. There's just most days like my kind of like schedule, I would drop the kids at school, boost along the M8 to Edinburgh. Either I would have a screening or two to watch in the morning, and then maybe 1 or 2 interviews like lunchtime, early afternoon, and then I was in the car back home to Glasgow, and that was my daily routine. So even though I was through almost every day, I wasn't. I got to see a lot of movies, and I got to speak, and I got to do a good few interviews, but I didn't really get to soak up the festival from a like I didn't get to go to any of the events. Like I didn't get to see the train spotting event. I didn't get to see the Kenneth Branagh
No,
chat.
neither did I.
The podcast and the 1 or 2 the 90 minutes or less. I would have loved to I would love to do what I did, but also on top of that, experience the festival just as a film fan as well. I don't think I got to do that this year really at all. So next year, the goal is to try and do more of that. I think I would say
Yeah.
next year's goals for you for the festival if you're coming back.
Yeah, I definitely will come back. I've definitely learnt to stay a bit closer because even though I was in Edinburgh, I was near like Holyrood Park,
Oh,
so I
okay,
had
yeah,
to
yeah,
get like quite a winding bus to get there, and
yeah.
then there was some screenings I was like, I'm not going to make it because of diversion stuff. But I'd stay more on the west side of Edinburgh definitely next time. Um, what would I do differently? I think the film was a good amount. It was averaging probably still about two a day, two or three a day. I would have gone earlier. I would have definitely, because I know the press screenings started before the festival even started.
Yeah.
Didn't realise that.
Oh, did you
So
not? Right, sorry.
nope. So I missed a lot of the press screenings by the time I'd booked my accommodation. That's the thing about not living in Scotland, especially. So now I know. Same with London and things like that, I guess. But I'd like to be there for the opening, and I want to do more interviews. And I think that could have helped having those earlier press screenings or being more forward, maybe with asking for screeners, and I could have just seen them in preparation. But in terms of my actual experience and meeting like-minded film fans and community, and I think I did everything I could really.
Did you get to see
Yeah,
any fringe shows?
I did. I saw about 6 shows, I think.
Ah, any
I
memorable,
may
anything worth note?
Yeah, there was I think my favorite stand-up was a woman called Grace Mulvey. So she's an Irish comedian. I'd seen her support someone on tour before, and then I saw she was doing a full hour, and that was great. It was in a tiny shipping container at the back of the assembly, and it was so well crafted. I cried at the end of it. So
Oh,
if a comedy show can make me cry, I think that's pretty good. And then I saw something that quite unique was a clown who their clown was working in a cinema. So that was the kind of setup. So this clown was kind of working in this kind of dead end kind of cinemaplex, and it was kind of nods to cinema. They were doing drag, puppetry, um, comedy, everything, and it was just the most bizarre thing. But I had such a good time, and it was film connected as well. So yeah, I was able to sort of experience my first Fringe as well this year. So it's kind of two firsts
stuff.
um,
What was the name of the
in
clown
Edinburgh.
show?
Cabbage the Clown.
Cabbage the
If you look
Clown.
them up, yeah, Cabbage the
Cabbage the
Clown.
Clown. There you go, folks. Okay,
Yeah.
and what's coming up next for you on your channel? What can people look forward to?
There's definitely going to be some full reviews of the films that I've seen at Edinburgh. There's been a few shorts, so some kind of instant reactions. If you want to go check out the YouTube shorts, they're on Instagram, TikTok as well. But yeah, we're getting.
As someone said, the lamp in your shorts was definitely doing the heavy lifting.
I know it's not as aesthetic anymore, but I need to buy a good lamp, I think.
A good lamp.
But yeah, it's made me think about the setup. Maybe it's kind of quite eye catching, I guess, for a lot of people. But yeah, I guess we're going to build up to. There's going to be a lot of film festivals in October this year.
Are you
Um,
covering? Are you going to London at all? London Film
I'm gonna go
Festival.
for a little bit. I'm so busy this in October. I won't have a chance to do it all. And then there's Bath Film Festival, which is one close to me as well in the southwest. They're putting on some great event cinema. They've got some older films they're showing as well. We've got Buster Keaton films with a live piano score, Whip
Nice.
It from the mid 2000s with a roller disco, like some great kind of, event experiences, which should be good. So kind of prepping for that really and working with those festivals and thinking, how am I going to sort of cover that? So, yeah, lots of stuff to sort of keep me busy across all socials really.
Fab. Good stuff. Okay, dokie. Let me just quickly jump into the chat. I think Alfredo Ristick's just got one last closing comment. It was a fantastic festival. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope to visit that beautiful city of Edinburgh again. The people there are truly the best. I felt so welcome. I mean, I'm not an Edinburghian. I'm not an Edinburgh boy, but I'm a Glasgow boy. But I'll take some of the credit for that as a Scotsman. Thank you for coming to Scotland and enjoying the city of Edinburgh. Normally, if you're from Glasgow, you normally have to hate Edinburgh, but I do like it during the Fringe, during the film festival.
Oh,
Other than parking charges and general roadworks and shenanigans, it's a nice place to. Edinburgh's a great place to go as a tourist. you're working in Edinburgh and you're trying to navigate, taking like 14 back pelly cases of equipment that you can't take on a train, it can be tricky. But as a tourist, Edinburgh is brilliant, especially during the Fringe. But yeah, thank you for coming to Edinburgh. Thank you for joining us on the stream. And thank you to everyone for joining us on the stream. Thanks to Sarah from Sarah's Popcorn Chat, whose link is in the description, but evidently isn't working, so I'll fix that. But again, if you Google Sarah's Popcorn Chat, you said there's two to choose from. One is a cooking channel and one is the movie channel. So obviously go to the cooking channel.
Of course, yeah. Ignore me.
But then also check out actual Sarah's channel. Sarah, thanks for joining us on this. This was good fun. I enjoyed having someone to riff off for the festival roundup. That definitely helped me, and it helped cover more films as well, because even though we overlapped on half a dozen, there was also half a dozen or so that we saw individually. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will potentially see you at the Glasgow Film Festival in February.
I think so. I think you'll see me in Glasgow.
Fabulous, good stuff. Okay, YouTube audience, thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Watch the films that we have recommended watching if you can. Skintown, the in competition winner of the film festival, definitely worth your time and is a worthy winner. But as we have said, there are many other films that are worth your time as well. Final word to you, Sarah. Which movie do you want to give a shout out to that isn't Skintown?
I think The Education of Jane Cumming. Go and watch that one.
Excellent, good stuff. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you at the next one.